please come to order for this March 21st special meeting of the planning board. All rise and pledge allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Miller is not here today. She's celebrating a birthday of unknown age.
29.
29, that's right. So I appoint Kathy DiPietro as a voting member tonight.
And she's 28.
Okay, next on the agenda, approval of the minutes of March 7th, 2022. Could I have a motion? Moved by Mr. Mattson, seconded by, I'm going to say by Kathy DiPietro. Any discussion? All in favor?
Wait a minute.
Oh,
There's a sentence, the board stated that they were pleased with the, and it stops.
Yeah, I had the same question.
oh, where is it?
It's...
First page.
First page, just third paragraph,
First page.
Oops, I must have missed that one.
Under 5A.
under 5A.
I think we should just strike it.
Strike the whole sentence.
So we weren't pleased?
Just strike, the board stated that they were pleased with the, whatever the was. We don't know what it was. It had something to do with the chief, I'm sure.
Oh, we were pleased with Gwen, yes.
Okay, so you got that? Okay.
Approve the minutes as amended.
Second.
So you're amending your
That's what I
original
moved.
motion?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're seconding?
Yes.
Okay, so, any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. Do we need to vote on the original motion? Or can we just?
No, it's
ditch it?
amended.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, next item of business, Hire Solutions, Smoke Supply, Portland Road, map 6, lot 27A, findings of fact and conclusions of law. Before making a motion to approve it, I had one minor change I wanted to suggest, just under conclusions of law in number 2, it says the Bridgton Planning Board reviewed the criteria for the land use district, and just to insert in there and shoreline zoning in its entirety, because we didn't put a sentence in there about shoreline zoning, but we did go over it. People okay with that?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. So I'd accept a motion to approve the findings of fact and conclusions of law with and shoreline zoning inserted into number 2 of conclusions of law, as mentioned. Moved by Mr. Harden. Is there a second? Second by Mr.
Whoever
What is your
it
name anyway? Mr. Gibbs? Any further discussion?
Just one small question. Should the no THC be in the conditions of approval?
Pardon me?
Should CBD only be in the conditions of approval?
I thought we put that,
Yep.
Oh, there it is.
yeah.
Yep.
Sorry.
I think what we
No,
decided.
that's CEO.
Yeah, what we decided was, it's in the findings. I think we actually determined it would not be a condition. So if you look at the findings, page 2, number 10, says the applicant will not be offering any cannabis products with THC concentrations that would classify the product as medical cannabis or an adult use or as an adult use cannabis.
You should probably take merchant out.
Pardon me?
Take, or
It
adult
should-
use cannabis.
Yeah, that's what I
Period.
think it was meant to be. So
Okay.
strike merchant,
Yeah.
okay?
So if that's fine, that's good.
Okay. So, all in favor with those, wait, we need a motion first. No, we just
Yeah, we
did
had
make
the
a motion.
We're just in discussion.
And we'll add this change to strike merchant.
Yep.
Okay.
It should be, medical cannabis or adult use cannabis.
And it's not a substantial change, so you
No.
don't have to.
I can initial both of these changes we made and prove it that way. All righty, all in favor? Please raise your hand. 5-0. Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's already. Okay, initial. Thank you.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, can we do them all like that?
Okay, next on the agenda, item 5B, Harrison Marina, Portland Road, map 9, lot 72B. The applicant is Dave Randall or Jason? Jason Randall, who is representing himself. And do you want to, anything you want to give us an overview of?
So the only difference was, I spoke with Brenda earlier, is the parking.
Yep.
We just have to move the road over out of that 15-foot setback. So that'd be the only difference.
Yeah, so let me explain to the board, when I got this, I had a very brief discussion with the code officer. And so, the standard for setback states that you can't have any structure in the setback area,
Which is 15 feet, yeah.
which is 15 feet, and this is obviously up to the board, but the standard states that the setback has to be 15 feet, and that includes any structure.
Which a road is a structure.
Well,
And parking lot is.
parking is structure, gravel is impervious surface.
Technically, it's already existing, so I'm trying to meet the setback. So we're gonna move it over into that 15-foot.
So, but this is new gravel you're placing down, and it shows the old gravel here.
Yeah, so we were gonna,
Right. So, so if this was moved back, it just seems like then that would work, or if there wasn't gravel there. I don't know, that's what I wanted to bring
Yeah,
up to.
yeah. Is it pre-existing there? Is there a parking area that's already?
No.
there is in front of the building and kinda on the side.
This is the existing gravel, if you look at the key.
Uh-huh. So the parking lot is not, doesn't,
This is new gravel.
is not existing, okay.
We were gonna move it out back to make it,
Right.
to meet the
Yeah.
requirements.
I have a question, you don't show the driveway on here, can you show it to us, where it would be?
It basically comes straight in. And there's also an entrance here.
Yeah, for the,
So how would the driveway be positioned? Would it be like right there?
Yes. So you could just basically move this over to here and just come straight in and just
Oh.
put the parking back here.
okay,
Yeah, so your driveway would go sort of
like
like
that,
this.
Yeah, or I just eliminate this space as well and just come straight in and go back.
yeah. Is there, if your parking is over here, is there an entrance
Here
here?
it is, correct, right
Yeah.
here. The idea was just to move this out back. Most of the time it's only gonna be one person that comes in and the employee can park out back.
We were gonna have parking all on the side before, so now we're saying we're gonna move it to the back.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
one of
the
the
back is
issues
fine.
is,
Yeah, the
remember.
back is fine, I'm
Yeah.
just
One of the-
clarifying.
One of the issues is when he came before, if you recall, the parking was here. But
But the
again,
ba-
there was,
The boundary changed a little bit too.
well, because we didn't have a perimeter survey that showed all this, that's the value of a perimeter survey, is to know where everything is. And remember that Mr. Randall mentioned that this was further over than closer to here than you
Yeah, so
imagined.
it's actually 23 feet from the corner of the building to the lawn.
Okay.
So now I believe, when you look at the definition of structure, I can't remember if it includes driveway or not.
No, driveways are exempt.
Let's just. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't actually say that.
Yeah, but if you look under driveway or,
It says this definition does not include boundary walls, fences, walkways, patios, flagpoles, light poles, and signs. I think we wanted to say driveways.
Yeah, it should be in there. See if there's a definition for driveway.
I think what it says is in the dimensional standards in the land use section, it talks about, structures have to be 15 feet away except driveways.
Yeah.
We can try and find that right now. Driveway. It doesn't say.
Doesn't say.
anything there.
It's somewhere, because I know that driveways can go through buffers.
Yeah. If you could go through a buffer, then we would never be able to have a driveway.
Yeah, you'd never have a driveway.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, you go through a buffer the whole land.
You can have a building, but you just can't get into it.
Right. With the park on the road.
View.
Yep. Walk in.
Yeah.
Let's see, where would it be? Be in site plan.
It would be dimensional standards. I thought that's where it was. Anyway,
I know it's there.
I know that when we did another application, we allowed the driveway to be within the setback area. I remember discussing that, but it's not very clear. One second. So I think, Mr. Randall, you're pretty anxious to get this project going, aren't you?
Yeah, I ripped the building down today.
Yeah, notice it's gone. Yeah.
Yay.
And you're in the inner quarter district?
Inner, yeah, inner
Yes.
corridor. Darn. Where is
Well, I think it's something that we've assumed is not really
Well,
in the standard.
well, logically, driveways have to go through buffers.
Right.
The question is, going through, is can they go right along the side of the setback? Because he's not, well, if he comes.
Yeah, it's
comes
off
in-
the-
If it comes in this way,
It's off the setback, the driveway.
yeah, if it comes in this way, it would be,
Like, here.
okay. So
It's
you-
not right on this.
So be like sort of here
Yeah.
Yeah.
and here?
Yep.
So it will come around
Yeah,
and you,
right down the side of the building
down the side of the building
and come right out back.
and come here, and so your gravel would probably move up to,
Yeah, I moved all this over into here.
Okay.
and that works for you.
Yeah.
And how many spaces are you going to have?
Four, head four.
Well, you need a few more than that, don't you?
There's only one employee, then maybe one or two people are gonna be in there.
You may have a rush?
I would hope so, but most of the time it'd just be one person.
He can clear a little bit of extra grass and fix it. So, so is that kind of modifications the board think that makes sense? We haven't gotten into deliberations, but I needed to point that out because otherwise we get all the way there and we have an issue. So here's the question for the board. Well, let's just let that lie for now. What other questions do people have? I know Kathy, you had a stormwater question, are you,
I'm very happy.
okay?
I'm very happy.
Okay.
You've got a lot of calculations.
Yes, is exactly what we engineers just love those things.
So,
You did a
any
good
other
job.
questions for Mr. Randall? So I guess I'm trying to figure out how we can do this without making Mr. Randall come back yet again with another drawing. Mr.
Well,
Gibb.
just something very minor. The poor stream back there seems to have so many names. Willard, Willett, or Willis.
What, wait,
You have it, they have it as Willard,
what,
the
what do you-
stream in the back.
That's Willett.
Yes,
Willett Brook.
but it's Willard
On where?
on their application.
Okay, we can correct that. That's-
Yeah,
I don't
that's-
think that's a
that's-
major, I mean,
That's nothing major.
this stream's noted, so as long as it's noted, I don't think it's gonna be.
No, there's no problem. It's just that people call it Willis, Willett, and Willard.
I know. It is crazy.
I think in the findings, we can just say that the property backs up to Willett Road.
Sure.
Right, which it does,
Yeah.
so. And the application doesn't have to be modified. So, we have a small dilemma, which is, we have a plan in front of us that's not the final plan. The final plan does need to eventually be incorporated, I think. So one option is that we approve it with the condition that the parking lot is
Located in the rear of the building.
that this parking space is eliminated. And they're gonna have to get in here anyway. That the driveway comes alongside the building, and the parking lot goes to the back, more to the back of the building, and there'll be no gravel, new gravel in the 15-foot setback. The CEO, he could potentially give us a drawing to the CEO for that, I think afterwards. Brenda, can you comment on that, or are you allowed to do that?
What, accept it after?
If we were to, we haven't deliberated, but I'm kind of getting in it right now.
Yep.
If we were to approve this with the condition that there couldn't be any new gravel put into the 15-foot setback, the driveway, and just where the driveway would have to come in, where the parking lot has to be moved. I guess the question is, how do we be, I mean, we can just write it that way, but you won't have a final plan to look at. Now,
Yeah, so I
how
think
would you
that as
handle
long as we put a condition that he submits it before the parking lot's put in and the drive.
And you review it.
Yep,
Oh,
just to
okay.
make sure, but make it clear in the findings.
Okay, so prior to constructing the parking lot and driveway,
Yep,
or the parking lot, that it has to go through, what do we say, it has to meet those conditions, and a final drawing has to be given to you
think as long
to
as
be
it's-
able to approve it.
yep, I think as long as it's clear, I think. we
So
can
it's
do
kind of
that.
like he's doing it, first the building, then the driveway, in a sense, or
Yeah,
then the
he
parking.
just said it wouldn't take it very long anyway,
Yeah, I
so,
just couldn't get it within
For today.
12 days or whatever, that's all.
Okay,
so
all
he said
right,
it won't
so
take long.
you'll be able to come
Yeah, I
up
can
with,
get it, hard to feel.
how do folks feel about that?
It's okay.
fine with it.
Yeah.
All right, then why don't we just move right on to, this has to meet the site plan review and the district standards. Okay, so I'll pull up what Brenda's just created for us. And so let's go to land use first. I think. Okay, so this is in the inner quarter. The standards are minimum lot size, minimum lot frontage, has no shore frontage, minimum lot coverage, I don't think there's a spec for lot coverage. Minimum contiguous private open area, maximum front setback, minimum front setback, which is 15 to 25 feet, minimum setback line from any common lot line, minimum setback from DBN, MUC, so forth and so on, minimum shoreland setback lines, is within that, minimum height of accessory structures, minimum height of principal structure, ground story floor elevation height. Any of those that any of you want to discuss?
Got it.
I forget what the minimum lot size is. For the inner quarter, it's 40,000, but it would be grandfathered anyway.
Yeah.
Just not 40,000.
Yeah, it was a little bit less than 40,000, I think, but I'm not sure. He doesn't have any structures within 75 feet of the shoreline zone. He's not interrupting any wetlands.
It's okay.
And on the standards for the district, it's in the inner quarter again. Maximum front setback area requirements. Facade, fenestration. He's gonna have windows, it's gonna be a nice building.
It's gonna be all windows.
Facade, building projection, he's not proposing that. Street wall not regulated. Garage and parking, we talked about. I think probably where we wanna put the condition is, probably on the district standards for setback and for parking, we can note to both of that. Does that make sense to people?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Landscaping, he's represented that, he'll be planting some shrubbery and
Okay.
other things out front, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, so site plan?
Have you straightened out the, what's going to be happening with the sidewalk?
Mr. Randall, could you remind us the situation with the sidewalk? Oh, wait, I think I remember, is Ms. Day, maybe you could just remind us the situation with the
Yeah,
sidewalk?
as we talked at the last meeting, there is an existing sidewalk there now, but it's not very well, not very good, so he was gonna redo that. But we are working on something within the town because Lakewood Commons is having a sidewalk on that side. Long Lake Marina and Harrison Marina are doing sidewalks on that side, on the other side, so they're parallel. So they literally are two sidewalks leading to nowhere. So what we are trying to work on is just lost it. The two places adding to Lakewood Commons to actually direct the sidewalks a little bit further into town. So we're gonna be hopefully working with both applicants, so that we can have sidewalks going somewhere.
Yeah, so sidewalks are unnecessary for this particular project.
Whatever he would put in for the front of his building, which he's agreed to, we're gonna just see if he'll take that money and put it on the other side.
Oh,
So in the findings, I would maybe say something that funds allocated for a sidewalk on the west side of Portland Road,
Work with.
will be allocated to the town in order to create the sidewalks on the east side.
Or just say, like, he hasn't really agreed to that yet, so. But we've talked, we brought it up at the meeting, so I just would put something in there, work with Public Works and Code to placement of sidewalk.
All right, that's fine.
So, it's something to that matter.
do we need his agreement?
Well, I think if it had to do with funds, yes.
What's that?
I said, Ken's asking if we need Mr. Randall's agreement.
Well, I think I don't know if we need an agreement, because if he decides that he wants to just do the ones in front of his place, he certainly can do so, because ordinance requires that. Or states that, but it doesn't say where it needs to be really placed, but,
So why don't we say the applicant will make accommodations for a sidewalk either on his frontage or working with the town
Directly
opposite his
Yep.
frontage
Yep.
on the other
directly
side.
opposite his
Does
front.
that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah.
Is
Does that make sense for you?
Okay.
That sounded really good when it came out of my mouth.
It was very good.
Hold on. I can always do that. Okay, site plan. Yell if you want to discuss. Proposed uses. Consistent with comprehensive plan. Preservation, enhancement of the landscape. Relationship to surroundings. Vehicular and pedestrian traffic. Traffic circulation. Parking. I could put a condition here, but I think it's better, this is more about adequate parking, so I don't think I should put it there, I should put it where the district standards attach it to that. Surface water drainage, impervious surfaces, public utilities, advertising features, special features of the development.
So,
What about signage? What are you
Yeah.
doing for signage?
In the original packet, there was a picture of the existing sign I have at my other location. We're just gonna match that.
Is that a stand-up sign?
Yeah, it's like a post and beam.
Yeah.
and it's
So to
exterior.
erect it, will we need a requirement with the CEO?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Does the CEO have to review it?
Yeah, the CEO reviews it
So
prior to, but he
Yeah.
did
So make sure
submit a,
it's-
yeah.
it says
Okay,
that.
that's
Yep.
good.
But he did put picture in there.
I knew there was a picture someplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a post and beam.
Yep.
Okay. Special features of the development, exterior lighting, emergency vehicle access, municipal services, water quality, groundwater quality and quantity, air quality, water supply, soils and erosion control, sewage disposal, scenic impacts.
That's an old system there, is it?
We're hooking to the town.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
hooking to the town, they mentioned that last week, when you weren't here.
Oh,
Or, no, yeah, I
Yeah.
guess. Noise, location and floodplain, adequate technical and financial capacity, special regulations don't apply, road design does not apply. And I believe that is it.
okay.
So I accept a motion to tentatively approve the project as presented with the conditions that the applicant will locate the driveway against the building and move the parking further back behind the building so that there's no gravel or other structures in the 15-foot setback.
Is he going to meet the 15-foot setback on the side?
Yes.
So we should say that.
Yeah. And that the, as an adjunct to that, the CEO will give a drawing to the CEO prior to building the parking lot. And then a condition that accommodations for sidewalks will be made either on his frontage or the frontage across the street.
Okay.
Okay. Think that's everything?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Gibbs, I don't know what it is today, seconded by Mr. Hurd.
I need a-
You got hit.
I got hit, that's right. Any further discussion? Okay, and I think a standard condition is that you can't do anything until you get permits from a CEO anyway, so even though we've approved the signage, she has to approve it too. Okay, all in favor, please raise your hand. 5-0. You're tentatively approved. We'll try to get the findings, it'd be a little hard to get the findings written up by the next meeting.
She has them almost done, so
Okay,
she's good.
so the only issue is I'll be out for a week, but I'll work to get it done by the meeting on we have a meeting on the 4th, right?
She can get them to you by the end of this week if you want to be around.
That would be great. Okay,
Thank you.
so we'll have the findings prepared. Staff will give you a draft if you want, so just to be sure that everything, there's nothing in there that's a shock to you or that you have a question about.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, thank you.
You're all set?
He can proceed at his own risk.
Yeah, he can proceed at his own risk, but, it's probably gonna take him a couple weeks to get,
Well, he's
Kind of to get
got
prepared.
equipment there already.
yeah. You're allowed to knock the building down
Yeah.
and start cutting trees. And bring in piles of gravel and put them,
Yeah.
up against them. Okay. 5C Mountain Road condos, Bacardin LLC, Mountain Road, map 12, lot 18A.
I guess I'll recuse
I guess
myself
you
now.
have to continue to recuse yourself. Mr. Harden recuses himself, since he's financially connected to this. Before we get going, this is a final subdivision plan. Some changes were asked for from the preliminary. They have DEP approval. First question is, do we feel the final subdivision plan application is complete? Okay. Do we feel we need a public hearing? I propose that we do not. And do we feel we need a site walk? Again, I propose that we do not. Okay, so the floor is yours. Mr. Burgess, just give us an overview, I think, maybe focusing on anything that's changed, would be terrific.
Good evening, Craig.
Hold on one sec.
Do you have exactly what we asked them to come back with?
I do.
Can you state that, please?
I will state that for you right now. That is actually in the folder, but let me, so that's in the notice of decision. And the notice of decision, I'll just read it. Preliminary plan approval is conditioned upon the following items. Relocation of the stormwater outlet filter at least 75 feet from the stream protection district of the shoreline zone. B, reduced clearing of trees in the shoreline zone, stream protection district, following at a minimum the criteria stipulated in section 4, item 4.0 of the code, clearing or removal of vegetation for activities other than timber harvesting. C, clarify the location of all the subcatchments, both in the routing diagram for the post, for 291963 post and on drawings 5 of 13, the grading and drainage plan. D, given that the water supply wells would have surface water support, explain how the groundwater under the influence of surface water rule will be met. Okay? And then, of course, additionally, they need DEP approval, which they've
Which they
got.
have.
They've received,
And
yes.
we will need to sign the final plans at some point.
So,
That's basically what's,
so I'd like the applicant now to address all the 4 points on how he's met them.
okay. So does that work for the rest of the board?
Yep. good.
Okay? So why don't you just speak to those 4 items?
Good evening, Craig Burgess with Sebago Technics here on behalf of Picardin LLC. So yeah, there were very minimal changes since the preliminary approval. We did go through and address every one of those comments that was brought up. The retaining wall was brought back off of the 75-foot stream setback so that there would at a minimum be a 3-foot maintenance strip there.
Can you show us on the plan?
Sure. So at the last meeting, there was some discussion about that retaining wall right there. So we pulled it about 2.5 feet off of the setback line to allow for a 3-foot shoulder for maintenance. We also pulled this under drain soil filter back further from the 75-foot so that it greatly reduced the amount of tree clearing that was needed along here. Before, this tree clearing came out over here. So we got rid of quite a bit of tree clearing in the vicinity of the soil filter. We also worked with the Lakes Environmental Association and they reviewed it, they're okay with it. What it came down to is they didn't want the under drain outlet within this area, the 75-foot buffer. So we had to pull the under drain outlet to about this location right here. We now also show monuments at all the corners that don't have monuments currently. The hydrogeologic assessment was updated to include a little bit more narrative about the stream and the wetlands impact on the 3 proposed wells. Not mentioned in the cover letter, the HydroCAD report and the diagram was updated to bring some clarity to it for the various drip edges. So we have 3 different outlets, and I believe Ms. DePietro mentioned she wanted to see those outlets modeled separately and identified a little bit more clearly on that diagram, so we went ahead and did that. And I believe, was that about it?
I think so.
So the tree clearing, the amount of tree clearing was really reduced over in this area. There is still some minimal tree clearing directly attributed to some minor grading here and here and here.
But that will follow that section of the
That will
code.
follow that section.
Which, I think that's managed, that's monitored by the code enforcement officer, is that right, Brenda?
Yes.
Okay, if it's within the stream protection district, okay.
And you'll see in the stormwater law approval that they did note that the permit by rule was accepted for work adjacent to the stream within the 75-foot buffer. So that was reviewed also by Maine DEP.
And remind us what the work adjacent to the stream is?
It's just the minor grading associated with the construction
Okay.
of the duplexes and the retaining walls.
Right, okay, I remember
But through the
that
use
now.
of retaining walls, we really tried to minimize the overall impact within that 75-foot buffer.
Okay, I remember that now. Yeah, so the things we talked about was a stormwater outlet, which you just explained, the reduced clearing of trees, clarifying the location of subcatchments, and expand on the water supply wells, and that they meet the groundwater under the influence of surface water rule, which is the state standard. Is that correct, Kathy? Yeah, okay. Anything else you want to let us know about?
No, that pretty much sums up all the changes.
Okay. Questions from the board?
Just say thank you for doing that.
Thank you. Anybody else? You seem satisfied? Yep, okay. Wow, okay, I think we're ready, everybody ready to deliberate then? Sounds like the answer to that is yes. Questions, Mr. Gibbs? No?
No questions. I originally did abstain because I was being very idealistic. I think that regulations should change the project rather than project change the regulations, but in looking at the project, I think that you have no choice but where you are putting the leach fields.
Yeah, you were not, I think you voted to abstain on the waiver, is that correct?
Yeah,
Okay. Which we did approve, so.
and late, too late perhaps, but I approve.
All right. Okey dokey, then why don't we move on to subdivision standards first? Let me pull those up. So we'll need to do the subdivision standards, the district standards, and we'll need to do the shoreline zoning standards. But I think shoreline zoning, it should be straightforward because there's not gonna be any structures or work in that area. Okay, just tree cutting. And grading back. Okay, so. Subdivisions. Okay, well, I'll start, and I'll just start as usual, reading the standards, and stop me if somebody has a question or a concern, or feels the condition is needed. A, pollution. B, sufficient water. C, this is the standard subdivision, the statutory criteria, by the way. D, erosion. E, traffic. F, sewage disposal. G, municipal waste, solid waste disposal. So I see you're probably thinking about the waiver. What we normally would do is, it meets the sewage disposal spec, but what we would do is, when we write up the findings, we state whether any waivers were given, okay, and any explanation on that.
Okay.
Municipals, I was trying to read your mind, I think. Municipal solid waste disposal, aesthetic, cultural, and natural values. Believe we did get a landscape plan. Comprehensive plan, financial and technical capacity. I want to actually thank the applicant for actually providing financially what it will cost to build the infrastructure, and then showing that you can meet that financial burden. So, everybody should do that. Not everybody does.
Maybe the applicant has some prior knowledge.
Well, maybe, but not everybody does that, but
I think that's
this applicant did.
terrific if they did.
It is asked for on the application form. Okay, surface waters, groundwater, floodplains, freshwater wetlands. He's avoiding, if you recall, the wetlands. Farmland, it's not farmland. River, stream, or brook. There is a brook within it, and that follows, we'll go to shoreline zoning on that, but.
Does that brook have a name?
I think, Mr. Burgess, you told us it does not have a name?
Not that we could find. I know one, and a butter got up and she said what she thought it was, but it appeared that brook was actually somewhere else, so at this time it's unnamed.
I think an abutter thought that was Sawyer Brook, but it's not. It's very clear.
It's not Sawyer Brook.
Everything, just so you guys know, everything that I looked up, it, kinda like Craig, it just says unnamed streams on every document that I looked at. One abutter said that it was part of Sawyer Brook. We did research that. Sawyer Brook is actually about 3/4 of a mile down the street. And actually Sawyer Brook feeds into, I can never remember if it's Keezer Pond or Keezer Lake, cause
Keys are one of them.
it's one of the two Keezers.
Keezer.
Goes
Yeah,
down.
so it doesn't, in our stream, if you follow it, that's behind us, actually feeds into Moose Pond.
Oh, so
Right.
it goes that way
Yep.
rather
Yep.
than that way. Is it on your property?
Yep.
Do you want to name it?
No, I'm good.
Okay, stormwater. Spaghetti lots prohibited. It's, doesn't have, well, it does have frontage on the river, stream, or brook, but there's no, they're not dividing it into spaghetti lots. Lake phosphorus concentration, that was provided as part of the stormwater. Impact on adjoining municipality, this does not apply. Land subject to liquidation harvesting, does not apply. Additional review criteria, phosphorus export, they provided that. Relationship to community services. Retention of proposed public sites and open spaces. They're not proposing any public sites or public open spaces. When we get to condo subdivision, there'll be something about that, common space. Preservation of natural and historic features. Traffic impact. Shoreline zoning. The lot does lie within the stream protection district, so we'll get to that in a minute. Easement for drainage ways. Utilities. Required improvements. Road or homeowners association. Minimum lot size and lot frontage for subdivision lots. They have common sewer and water, and therefore they can go to a 5,000 square foot lot, and they've actually met 5,000 square feet per unit. Minimum lot frontage of 100 feet. Monuments have been placed. There will be no road signs, correct? Because it's just a driveway going in, right? There is not, there are no roads, but the driveway opening gets covered in the land use district. So we'll skip all of that. I think, is that correct, Ms. Day? I'm not saying anything incorrect, am I?
Not that I know of yet, I'm looking at one thing, but keep going.
Okay. No non-conforming roads. Sidewalks.
Didn't we approve a variant, wasn't a variance? It wasn't a request that
The waiver.
waiver, that there not be sidewalks, but there be walking space along the roadway.
Correct.
So,
Yeah.
we just want to make sure we note that.
Okay. Water supply, fire protection, sewage disposal, surface drainage, long-term maintenance plan that was submitted by the applicant, updated. Additional review criteria for condos. General requirements. That includes sign requirements, density requirements, landscape plan. Chapter 5, site plan review if it's a commercial use, it's not just residential. You're not proposing it's constructed in phases, correct?
What's that?
Are you proposing that it's constructed in phases? No. Ms. Day?
I just wanted to mention, road signs, he might not be creating one, but we are gonna need a road name, because there's more than one building in there.
Okay.
So that entrance will require a road name, application
I
done.
was gonna say that.
Yeah, so I just
Because we need
wanted
it for
to
you.
specify that, so that the town will, put a road sign up there, just,
Because the buildings have to be numbered and they have to be.
right.
for
So
the
where it's
911
more than one
system.
building, it has
So
to be a road
Should the
name.
applicant apply for, the road name like other applicants?
Yes,
Okay, so what we'll do is, I think we'll just make that a condition of approval.
yeah,
Because most of the time, even if they've already submitted a name, it still has to get approved afterwards.
Right.
So, okay.
so, yeah, we'll just
So
need to do
think
that.
of a good name then, Mr. Hart.
Yeah, now we gotta come up with that name. It took us long enough to come up with the,
How about Picard and Drive?
well, then no. We're changing the name of the condo association at some
Okay.
point.
Call it Beach Road.
Or-
Yeah.
Or unknown.
Unknown street.
Well, I could be like the road in Naples, it's called No Name Road.
Yeah,
There you go. Okay, moving right along. Condominium conversions, let's see, what else was in there?
Well, they have the common.
He's not gonna do it in phases. It's not a condominium conversion. Buffer strip is asked for, 25 feet is required along the existing road frontage. This is where the waiver would come in. Okay, and the waiver, the waiver or the findings will state that, exactly where, so I would be in the waiver, I guess, will state exactly how what the buffers will be, and which you actually described very, very well, about where they'll be reduced, okay?
Okay.
And I think what Mr. Burgess described is what he represented verbally. Okay? Vehicular and pedestrian systems. Sidewalks and pedestrian paths. So Ms. DiPietro, can you remind me what we
Right, in lieu of sidewalks, I believe that the road width has additional width for pedestrian passageway as well as vehicular access.
Okay, so it was gonna be designated along the side of the road there, for if people were walking, like, you know,
one building to another or
Okay.
something for a visit.
why don't we just say clearly marked walking paths between buildings? Does that make sense?
Say, planning board approves alternative designs of walking paths between the buildings.
Yep. Common open space. So, this says there is common open space. But something I noted today in reading this, it says the buildable area designated for a condominium development project may be reduced from the minimum lot size and lot frontage standards in section 6-7K if the project complies with the density requirements and the area outside the buildable area is dedicated to one or more common open space areas. He's not actually asked for a reduction in the requirement for lot size, because,
Doesn't have to.
yeah. So, but there is common open space. And your plan is not to change any of that. Well, if you did, you'd have to come for an amendment of some sort. Okay. Mr. Gibbs?
Is there access to the to the open space, any pathway?
What's that?
No.
Thanks.
No, it's just
Yeah, the open space is everywhere that's not, everywhere around the condos that's not going to be designated for the condo unit.
According to the definition, that the open space for condos on the area that's not buildable can be used by any of the condo members.
yeah, it says, but
Yeah, it can be.
it does say, yes, it can. It's just not gonna be kind of manufactured in a sense. Because it says it could be for
This whole
the
area right
purpose
here.
of providing
And all
low-intensity
of this.
recreation or preserving natural features such as large trees, tree roads, woods, ponds, streams, rock outcrops, national plant life, and wildlife habitat, including deer areas, agricultural resources or environmentally sensitive areas. So, it's really pretty
Yeah.
open-ended what can be there.
But it should
Yes,
be-
okay, just to
Yeah.
clarify, so
Yeah.
this whole lot
Yes,
is 9.88 acres.
right.
The area where the condos and all the infrastructure is gonna go takes up about roughly, what, 2.8, 2.9?
2.8.
Yeah.
So the rest of it's gonna be all
And the condo association, common ownership will own that all.
correct.
And I was just
Right,
curious.
like how condos work is each unit owner owns their
They own their building,
They're part of the building,
but the
but the
association.
land is split up 1/17 because there's 17 units.
Yeah.
So they'll own, each one of them will own a certain percentage of the land.
And then they should have in their condo association regulations, some ownership or some responsibility for the open space.
Yes, the association will be responsible for maintaining the property.
Yes,
Yeah,
And he did include a list of all that.
right.
yeah.
And
That's
now,
all in the
my
condo
only
doc.
question was, how is the open space going to be accessed?
It's really wooded, but like I walk it all the time in the.
Yeah, so
in the
there's
spring,
no
summer,
problem
fall.
getting to it?
No,
You don't have to go over someone's property?
No. no, even like, the hardest part to get to in the springtime will be across the unnamed stream, which is right here.
Mhm.
But like this whole area here,
Yeah,
you can walk right across. That stream literally
Rise up.
maybe has about 3 weeks worth of water,
that's
and then
it.
it's done for
Then
the
it's
year.
done, yeah, dry.
So you can walk right across that and get into this area, and then you can walk these areas
That way,
all over here.
get to the, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You good?
Good.
I'm just making notes based on Ken's question. Okey-dokey. All right, the other thing that's required is a performance guarantee will be required, which I'll put in the conditions. And it really refers to a section in the ordinance, the legal section of the ordinance, which has all that.
Yeah, so.
And then there's postal, if they do change anything, they'll have to come back for subdivision plan, and they have to apply for a road name. And I believe that is it. So I would accept a motion to tentatively approve the final, whoops.
Shoreland.
Oh,
Shoreland.
Shoreland.
sorry,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you, applicant.
Sorry, guys, sorry. My hands. Okay, shoreline zoning. This is in the lot includes a stream, so technically that stream is in the stream protection district. And in terms of land uses in the stream, so the first thing we go to is uses. In terms of what's allowed in the stream protection district, non-intensive recreational uses, not including structures like hunting, fishing, and hiking. Therefore, your access to the, you're coming about access. Motorized vehicular traffic on existing roads or trails, they're not doing any of that.
There are no trails.
There's none of those. Clearing or removal of vegetation for activities other than timber harvesting. I think here, yes, we'll just have a kind of a standard condition that says any clearing in the stream protection district will need to be done under this part of the code and approved by the CEO. Makes sense? And that's what we've done before. Fire permit. The only thing that's going down the list, what's not allowed, mineral exploration, is not doing that. Mineral extraction, not doing that. Agriculture, that doesn't mean somebody can't have a little garden somewhere, I don't think. Unless you prohibit it in your association rules.
Well, on their property.
Yeah, or like a little
Oh, yeah.
community garden. if
Community
they
garden,
want one.
Those won't be allowed.
Yeah.
Those won't be allowed,
No.
okay.
Okay.
I think maybe people will grow certain things. Okay, principal structures and uses, no single-family dwellings or two-family dwellings are allowed. They're not proposing that. No multi-family dwellings are being proposed. They don't have a driveway going in there. There's really no uses in there that are, you can't have commercial, you can't have industrial, you can't have government and institutional, you can't have small non-residential facilities for educational. Can't have structures accessory to allowed uses. Docks and bridges, if they're not proposing one, if they did, they'd have to come back. There's no seasonal residences in there now. Bottom line is they're not doing anything in the shoreline zone, I don't believe, except cutting trees. Is that the correct representation? They are constructing retaining walls, but those are outside of the shoreline zone, correct?
Yes.
No docks, no bridges, no roads, no driveways, no campsites, no parking areas. No signs in the shoreline zone, correct? No stormwater features or any of that's in there. That takes us through everything except the land use standards. So that's the end of the shoreline zoning except for dimensional standards in land use. So the use is allowed, it's multifamily dwelling. And in terms of dimensional standards, subdivisions do not need to comply with lot size or lot frontage. But they do need to comply with the other dimensional standards. So they don't have shore frontage. They're not putting any lot coverage in the shoreline zone. This is in the mixed-use quarter. The setbacks, for the minimum setback, 75 feet from the mountain road, and from the common lot lines, it's 15 feet or 25 feet, depending on what it is, I believe. Let me look at the note. Yeah. 15 feet for single-family dwellings, 25 feet for all others. I believe the applicant showed all this on the map, that it meets these. Shoreline zone, setback 75 feet. Height of the structure will be less than the 35 feet. It's actually 60 feet is actually allowed in there, and it's gonna be less than the 35 feet.
Mixed use garden, 60?
Yeah, 60 feet. Now, wait a minute. No, you're right, Ken. 35 feet for single-family dwellings, two-family dwellings, and multi-family dwellings. 60 feet for all other principal structures, including commercial structures. Seems backwards to me.
Yeah. But they will be less than that.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think the applicant clearly showed the height,
Why backward?
okay? They have nothing else in the shoreline zone, so nothing applies there. And then in the, boy, you cover every single part of this code. Do you
Yeah.
realize that?
Yeah.
We're in the mixed-use corridor. The only thing regulated is, the only things regulated are garage and parking. It's not a corner lot. Landscaping was submitted. Sidewalks are not regulated. And that's it.
Okay, good job.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
What happened to the days of just follow the site plan? All done.
Yeah.
Guess not.
Yeah,
Okay.
too many things.
All right, so now I would accept, Ms. Day, have I forgotten anything?
I don't think so.
I hope not.
We'll never know.
Remember, I got hit today by a skier, so who, anyway. So I would accept a motion to tentatively approve the Mountain Road condos with the following conditions. They will need to select and apply for a road name. They will have an alternate, use clearly marked walking paths between buildings as an alternate to sidewalks. And I think that is everything. All other things would go, they will need a performance guarantee, sorry. And everything? there's standard items for any sign permits or anything like that. So, you're not, are you proposing a sign? You're not proposing a sign, so that would just go in the findings. So again, just to restate, I accept a motion to tentatively approve the Mountain Road condos as presented with the following conditions. They will apply and get approval for a road name. They will have clearly walking paths between buildings as an alternative to sidewalks. They will require a performance guarantee for all infrastructure.
So moved.
Do we need the waiver?
Oh,
The waiver is not a condition, it will be stated at the end. So, so we could just modify that slightly before I name you as making the motion to say the waiver will be included in the findings.
and that waiver included.
Okay. Moved by Mr. Gibbs, second by Mr. Mattson. Any further discussion? All in favor? 5-0. 4-0, sorry,
Yeah, well,
thank you. So,
Thank you.
tentative congratulations. And thank you very much for, a very thorough application and addressing the board concerns.
yeah, good luck.
Thank you.
And I don't know how long, I don't know if we can do this by April 5th, but in the findings, if we can, great.
We can try.
Okay.
We can probably do it.
Yeah. All righty. I think that is it for all of the application items. And we're going to move on to the workshop. We're a little bit ahead of time, which is nice. And staff is going to switch over. And so if you'd like to take a 5 or 10 minute break now, we could do it now, or you can wait.
Well, now it's good.
Now it's good, okay. To LRTV, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess. All righty, folks, back in session, moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is a workshop on subdivision in LD 2003, which obviously they're both related.
Can we invite Tori to the table, please?
Yeah, where is Tori?
She's
right there.
There's Tori.
She's right behind
It's
me.
better if she comes, if
Tori.
she joins us at the table.
Hello.
Please join us at the table.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me just grab my things.
Do with
I
mine.
did make copies of,
Some of the items, great.
yeah,
Oops,
there's 5, I know you usually.
I've got
I have
copies.
that.
do you have one?
Yep, I made some.
Everybody have a deal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
please.
table. We got space, so might as well. Thank you. So we're joined by our Community Development Director tonight. Okay. Who's fresh from a longer than anticipated trip to Jamaica, as I
Yes.
understand it.
Yes, I
Do that.
was stuck there
You
for a
got
little
stuck
bit.
there. Yeah,
Yeah, it wasn't
wow.
so
The
bad.
magic of the airlines. Okay.
Well,
Where are you
there are
stuck?
worse places to
Jamaica.
get stuck.
Okay, so why don't we start with as we mentioned, we can change the subdivision with a public hearing, and we felt like there's some things there that we've been wanting to look at for a while. And what we talked about was to make the lot size per dwelling unit, and also, we spoke a little bit about changes that were back from 2017. Just as clarification, that document is actually in your OneDrive, the
Yes,
red.
it is.
But I haven't included that whole document for us to look at because the biggest change is in my opinion, is the one that, that talks about net buildable land. That was really the, other than other changes which were minor to make some corrections, which all got corrected in the consolidated code. This was the substantial change in there. So really the question to the board before we get around to, you know, the minimum lot size per dwelling unit is, do we want to incorporate these definitions? This originally came from Freiburg, which incorporates this. This is where the idea came. So maybe take a read of that. Just a note, most of the time you shouldn't be building in these areas anyway, but we don't necessarily eliminate them from the buildable land.
So is this saying if we had a 60,000 square foot lot and 30,000 of it was wetland, is that a buildable lot?
What we would be saying is the net buildable land of that,
Be 30,000?
we be, what'd you say, 80,000
I
square
said
foot
it
lot?
was 60, 30 is a wetland.
Yeah, you'd say the net buildable area is 30,000 square feet.
And would that be the number that we would use for minimum lot size?
Well, what that would do is it would go down to option 1 below, okay? If you incorporate this, you can see C, lot size shall be calculated to include only net buildable land. That could be A instead of C, but I just, you know.
Yeah. If I understand Rolf's question, is that if you have 40,000 square feet and 30,000 of it is not buildable, is that an unbuildable lot? Because it's only 10,000 left.
It's not an unbuildable lot, but it affects what you can put on that lot.
That's what I.
So if it ends up being so if it's 30,000 square feet lot and it ends up being only 10,000 net buildable area, what it means in subdivision is you can't get 3 units on there, you can only get 2 on there. So you can't really have a subdivision if all you have is 10,000
2
square
units because
feet.
they're 5,000 square feet?
Say again?
I'm trying,
So the lowest, so a 5,000 square foot lot is the smallest lot size you can have for a subdivision.
But if you can only have 2 on it, you don't have a subdivision.
Correct, you couldn't have a subdivision on a
Yeah.
5,000 square
Right.
foot lot, which would be,
so I have an existing lot.
okay,
Yeah,
yep,
I have an existing lot, and we're saying 30, this is subdivision.
right.
So this is only when we're dividing, we're not gonna take a look at existing lots which have the same problem with what net buildable lot area is.
We're not
We're not,
applying net buildable lot area, say, for instance, to site plan.
so
or-
this is just for new subdivisions as we move forward.
It's for new subdivisions or amended subdivisions. So if somebody comes
New-
back and they want to add to a subdivision or something like that.
It'd be new planning board business, basically, not for the old stuff.
No, the old stuff would be grandfathered. I mean, if the structures are there, it would be grandfathered. If the approval is there, it would be grandfathered.
But of course, if they don't start it when they're supposed to, then it goes away anyway. So,
Yeah, so well, I don't know on subdivision, that's a good question. That's probably, on subdivision law, I'm not sure about all of
how
that.
many years do you have before you have to start it?
2 years,
I'm just saying, if nothing happens in 2 years, doesn't the thing?
the approval lapses,
Oops.
yeah. But they still have the same rule in place. You know, the reason we came up with this is, and you know, the other thing is I would take a look at everything that's included in here. The reason we came up with this, and I'm trying to remember discussion now from 4 years ago, but, and Ken and Dee might have been the only other ones on the board. It's just that, we had a little talk and had somebody sit on a workshop from one of the water and river commissions, I forget, it might have been the Cumberland County Watershed and something other commission, and this was something that they were in favor of because, yeah, there are ways to keep people from, we do have other regs for wetlands, streams, brooks, ponds, vernal pools, but you could have an overdeveloped lot if you got 30 acres and really 15 of it is all wet. You can't build there, but you can now calculate, if you use the 30 acres to calculate how many dwelling units you can put
You
on.
use that number.
Now what's gonna happen is on 15 acres of that lot, you're gonna have double the density you really should have for that. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's the.
I mean, honestly, I think this is good planning. Because what it does is it takes, you're eliminating marginal lots in your new subdivisions that you're developing. Now, if it was, we were applying it to everything, that'd be a different story.
Yeah, no,
You can't do that. But if it's only dealing with new subdivisions, and actually, I think if we ever looked at what we've been doing, not too many would apply where they wouldn't be able to get what they.
yeah, I only had, I can only think of one where there would have been questions and they might have had to reduce the density.
But this in itself will make sure that when somebody develops something, he's developing a good lot, that's a
Right.
good buildable lot.
Right, it's basically not overcrowding a space that you can't, I mean, if you're saying, I'm gonna make a calculation on density based on 60 acres, when in fact you can't use 30 acres, you're really making a calculation on 30 acres.
Well, you can still do a cluster development.
Oh, yeah,
I mean, you're not stopped.
no,
No.
it sort of forces you into that perhaps, as a way to
Well, if
get
you
the
got bad
density.
soils or ledge and all that stuff everywhere, you end up doing that anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, one of the questions I have is, do we want to include everything that's in here? Or do we want to put something like significant wetlands? You know, there are different kinds of vernal pools, there are different kind of wetlands. Some wetlands can be filled. Insignificant wetlands, I think. I don't remember the exact name. I think this is, I also agree that this is good planning.
I think that would be too much detail.
Well,
Well, when an engineer or a surveyor creates a plan,
yep,
and he puts wetlands on the plan,
yep.
how does he define wetlands?
They tend to look at wetlands, there's a division of wetlands that according to the state and federally can be impacted and those that can't be impacted. And I think, Brenda's not here, but I think significant wetlands can't be impacted and other wetlands can
But
be
what I'm saying,
impacted.
what is shown on the plan? Is only significant wetlands shown on the plan?
No, they show, I've seen insignificant wetlands, and then we've seen a narrative about then we've seen a subdivision plan after that shows that wetland area is gonna be filled, because it's not a significant wetland, or parts of it will be filled.
Yeah, it seems to be 10 contiguous acres for a significant.
Yeah, I mean, you could just say significant wetlands, streams, brooks, ponds, vernal pools. And don't discriminate with vernal pools, because those are pretty, they might be in the inventory, they might not, like yours
Right,
was
like
not
mine-
in the inventory.
Like, we had an insignificant vernal pool in ours, and there were regulations on that. I think it's like you can't build within, I think it was 15 feet of it.
Right.
But if it was a significant vernal pool, then that buffer gets
Much bigger.
much larger.
Yep.
But with the insignificant vernal pool, I don't think you can ever fill those.
No.
Where an insignificant wetland, you can.
Right,
So there is a difference there.
so maybe it would say significant wetlands.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up to the board really, I like this idea, but I don't wanna be overly heavy-handed,
Yeah.
I
You
guess.
don't wanna create a burden.
Yeah. The other one I had a question of was significant wildlife habitat as delineated by Maine Department of Inland Fisheries and Wildlife. I just get a little bit worried that there's so many of those and we haven't mapped them all out. I know, what do you think, Tori?
I mean, they do have maps for each town, like the habitat maps. So you could specify if you wanted to use a specific, measure that.
Again, it all ends up being net buildable land.
Right.
I mean, I think personally, I think it makes sense because you can't build there anyway. So it's just specifying that. I think it makes it more clear for applicants.
Right, but what it's doing is it's also changing the density calculation. So if you were gonna build if 40 units were allowed on a tract of land, but only half of that land is, this is a simplistic example. 40 units are allowed on a tract of land, but only half of that land is buildable, then you're not gonna get 40 units, you're gonna get 20. That's basically the impact. Now, like I look at what Mr. Harden here did, and although you might have calculated out to have more units, there were a lot of other constraints on the property. The streams, the setbacks, and all of that. So it makes it difficult anyway, but
Yeah, like I know, like.
but you don't wanna count on that, I don't think.
Right, like the area that we had, when you take the total square footage of the land, take out the unbuildable area, which really is the portion of that unnamed stream and the insignificant vernal pool, we technically still could have got, I think it was 78 units.
78.
Yeah, because it's 285,000 square
Because
feet.
5,000
At
square feet.
5,000 square feet.
So this is the other thing we have to address tonight, is the loophole, which I think we've all pointed out, but that you've been in particular pointing out, is that it's subdivision states the lot size, it doesn't say how many dwellings per lot size.
Exactly, and that's what you
Okay.
have here, which is good.
All right, so
Well, I mean, this takes care of part of that.
Yeah.
this takes care of some of that.
Right.
Okay, so is everybody sort of feel like this is a reasonable thing to do? Should we, before we have any public hearing on this, maybe have Tori provide us with these, whatever maps that show where stuff is, and just kind of take a look at that, make sure that it's nothing
I think
unusual?
we should do that, and I think we should also, frankly, take a look to see, besides Freiberg, who else has done this. Just so when we're talking in a public hearing, we say this is a trend that's happening, and it's to protect habitat, and it's also to make sure that when somebody gets a buildable lot, it's a good buildable lot.
And this would be what, on the November warrant?
No,
this
this would
is-
be,
This
this
is,
would be whenever,
we
this
get
would be
done.
after we have a public hearing, if there's no, because it doesn't have to go to warrant.
It doesn't, okay.
Now, what I will do is, just to be absolutely sure, we'll do that with we'll make sure the attorney still agrees with that, but if you just go to the beginning of the subdivision regs,
Does not require
it says,
approval by the legislature.
right,
Okay.
planning board may, under the authority of and in accordance with 38 MRSA 4403, adopt, amend, or repeal additional reasonable regulations governing subdivisions.
Okay.
Okay? So,
And
with
it's
a
really a
public hearing.
subdivision regulation, it isn't a subdivision.
Right.
ordinance.
So I think, we can all do this. If you just look up that section of the law, it's gonna tell you what sort of, where the boundaries are, because it's gonna state what you can do. It's unlikely, it might state what you can't. Okay, so we would incorporate these two definitions. All right?
Okay.
So then the other thing we talked about was, it should be lot size per dwelling unit or something along those lines. Because that is in practice the way we've actually tried to review things. That hasn't always worked that way, but pretty much it has. So that, if we go with option 1, incorporating net buildable land,
We would just number lot C as A.
C would become A. The red, by the way, is, I've taken exactly what the standard says, and I've just, the changes are in red. So C would become A, or would be built into, C would become A.
Yeah, and that's all.
Yeah, or on minimum lot size, you would move C up to that and just say, lot size shall be calculated to include only net buildable land, and then go into your next one. Then there's no confusion whatsoever.
Right.
That's probably a better place to put it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So all of these now have per dwelling unit. So the smallest you would have in a subdivision would be 5,000 square feet per dwelling unit. So, that could be in, doesn't have to be in more than one, can be in one building, actually. Now, what could happen with LD 2003 is if somebody comes to us with an affordable housing development, which is a subdivision, then, and if we've only for
Are you saying the multiplier only work? With an
If
affordable housing
it's an
development?
affordable housing development, then the 2.5,
The
the
multiplier.
density increase of 2.5 times whatever your density is would apply, if it's an affordable housing unit, but not if it's any other type.
If it's
Not
an
if it's
If it's
the-
an accessory dwelling unit, it would not apply.
No.
So what we're doing here is that we're making, in subdivisions anyway,
Yeah, in subdivisions, we'll get to the other areas. So for accessory dwelling unit, I think what LD 203 says is you can't, it basically said you can't include that as a dwelling unit in the calculation of how many units can go on a piece of land
for accessory.
for accessory. You have to treat it like it's an accessory structure, even though it's not. But,
That's how they beat it.
yeah, well, that's why we need to say what's an accessory dwelling unit and what's a dwelling unit. So I guess the question is, are we good with the way this is? 5,000 square feet per dwelling unit would be the smallest.
Can I just ask a
Sure.
question?
Yes.
If you're putting an accessory dwelling unit in, who determines whether the septic system is adequate?
That usually, if it's, that would be the code enforcement officer.
Yeah,
If they have the proper, the proper licensing.
Yeah, what happened to the state law that you need 20,000 square feet?
I think that still applies. It's basically saying, and in LD 203, I believe it says you have to follow all the septic and plumbing requirements. But I think that minimum lot size, Dan, you might be able to help me with this, I think that minimum lot size of 20,000 square feet is if you don't have any kind of connection to a sewer
Right.
or
Yes.
public water.
Yeah, I was just curious, if you have a 30,000 foot square lot, can you get an accessory dwelling unit on it?
Well, if it can meet, if the septic, so if it's a 2-bedroom house, and a septic sized for a 3-bedroom house.
can do
It's a
it.
1-bedroom
And
accessory.
they have to
Then
share.
then yes, they would have to hook it up to that, I think that's the way, I'm
Yeah.
just talking
Yeah.
off the top of my head.
I'm assuming most of the accessory dwelling units are gonna be hooked up too. We're not gonna have a lot of development with new septic systems to support an accessory dwelling unit.
Right.
I mean, there's no return on that at all, whoever's doing it.
Yeah, either that or they'd expand the septic somehow, if they could. Might not be able to, depending on where the
I
property.
mean, that in itself is a,
So a lot of the onus
Way
falls
to
on the
deter.
plumbing inspector.
Yeah, which I believe is the CEO, or Laura Lee, she's working on getting her certificate. Okay, so, are we okay with square foot per dwelling unit? As the lot size, okay. Now, legal may say we have to describe this as lot area per dwelling unit versus lot size per dwelling unit, because of the way LD 2003 expresses it. I think maybe we just cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah.
We intend, you need to have this much land to do these many units.
were you gonna ask Leah to look at these regs, changes?
Oh, yeah? Yeah, well, you mean the lawyer?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we'll have to, yeah.
so she'll tell us if it needs to be area or size. Actually, lot area makes more sense.
That's the way it was expressed in the rules. It says, it's a little bit confusing, but, so lot area does kind of make more sense. I think what it says is, a municipality, this is on the dwelling unit allowance, which isn't necessarily gonna go to subdivision. It says a municipality may establish requirements for a lot area per dwelling unit as long as the additional dwelling units do not require more land area per unit than the first unit. So to me, that's lot size, but that's not the way they said it.
Just another question. Haven't we been allowing duplexes on 5,000 square feet?
They wouldn't be subdivisions, so that would be allowed, I think.
Yeah.
I have to ask Brenda that question, but as long as it's the lot size,
Yeah,
well,
that-
wait a minute. I think the lot size, Brenda takes the lot size to be dwelling unit, a single dwelling unit per, you have to have a minimum, so if the minimum lot size is 10,000 square feet and you have 10,000 square feet, I think right now you only can put one dwelling unit on it. That's a question for Brenda, I think.
But if you
That's the
have-
way she's interpreted the code.
if you have a subdivision that, and it has public water, public sewage, can you put two dwelling units on each 5,000 square feet? I mean, not separate, but townhouses.
Individual buildings, not if it's a subdivision, not the way we just did it. We'd say you need 10,000 square feet for that.
Okay, just,
Yeah. Because that would be considered 4,
Right,
and you
Yeah.
multiply that by the 5,000.
yeah. So, I think the way Brenda operates and I know she's talked to the attorney about, the way she operates the lot size requirement in the districts when it's not a subdivision is when you build the primary dwelling, you have a minimum lot size, right? So they have, if it's non-conforming, they can still put a building on it.
Right.
But say it's a conforming lot, they put their dwelling on it. Now, if they want to put an accessory dwelling unit on that lot, and it's a separate building, and it's not a garage, so they have, you have your house, you have your garage, you meet whatever impervious area requirements. I think what she's told me is if they wanna put an accessory unit on there, but the lot size doesn't support 2 dwelling units, then it either has to be, it has to be part of the garage or part of the house. It can't be a separate structure. I think that's what she's
Well, that-
basically said.
That would be logical.
But we really probably need to check with, and it may not matter, because her interpretation probably goes out the window now. But I'm pretty sure there's been situations where somebody wants to take an existing building, turn it into 4 or 5 apartments, and she specifically, 3 apartments, and she specifically looks at, they'd have to come to us, but she specifically looks at that calculation and tells them whether or not they can do it on that lot. So we should just have Brenda write something up for us, I think.
Oh.
Because it's,
She disappeared.
well, she doesn't do this part. Okay, so on to the next thing, which was actually something I pulled out because of LD 2003. If there's gonna be more houses and more density, should a regular old subdivision have a buffer around it? It's not required now for a regular old subdivision.
Sounds like a good idea.
Question is, how much buffer? So-
15 is the minimum that we have.
Well, so
Okay.
some districts, there's a 10-foot structure setback. Other districts, there's a 15-foot structure setback. Other districts, there's 25 or 75. So if you make the buffer strip bigger than the actual setback, it's just kind of, it's kind of 2 conflicting specs, basically. What do folks think?
15 is good.
Dan?
Yeah, I like the 15.
Are you okay with the comment? So what I put on here is, so this all comes directly from, with the exception of the number, 15 feet, and with the exception of, no, I must not have put it in there. Oh, I know I did put, if you look at number 4, so this 1 through 6 is exactly the same as what's written for buffers required for subdivisions that are cluster subdivisions or condos or plan unit developments. The wording's the same, with the exception on number 4, I put in the comment, if the district setback is less than the required buffer strip, the buffer strip overrides is the wrong word, but I guess you say controls or something like that.
Supersedes,
Yeah, something like that. I'm sure the attorney will wordsmith it.
Yeah.
So. And add another sentence or 2.
Yeah, and you have to specify the 15-foot buffer strip.
Probably. If, you probably have to say if the district structure setback. That's probably what you do. So, okay, so are people okay with that required? So that, for example, one of the subdivisions we just approved, it was a regular subdivision of land. There was no buffer strip required around the perimeter. They did have setback requirements, but setback requirements aren't buffers necessarily. Okay, all right?
Okay, good.
So basically what we're saying is that if the outer property line of the lot being subdivided has to have a buffer on it
Right,
of 15 feet,
right,
all the way around it,
all the way around it.
and then on the roads inside the subdivision.
It doesn't have to be on the roads inside the subdivision. It has to be around the perimeter. In the internal part of the subdivision, they have to meet the setbacks.
The setbacks. Okay.
All right? So moving on to what we talked about at our last meeting concerning LD 2003. Okay, so
So we said yes to C, right?
we said yes, yeah. We said yes to C. We said option 1 we agreed to per dwelling unit,
Right,
and we agreed to the 2 new definitions,
right.
okay? All right, so now moving on. And we will stop, in case people have a couple minor things at the end. So we will stop by 8:15. Is that okay with everybody?
How about 6:45?
No. Chair overrules. So we talked about incorporating lot area per dwelling unit into the dimensional standards, and that would be only for this dwelling unit allowance where you could have either 2 or 4 dwelling units on a lot. Or if you already had a dwelling unit on a lot, depending on where it is, you could have 2 additional dwelling units. So if you, I actually started to revise the ordinance and put it in there, but I decided I was getting ahead of myself. So I think where it would go, would be in the dimensional standards chart, and probably we would change the definition on minimum lot size. And again, I don't know.
What page are you on, by the way?
I'm on, so if you go to page, on the land use ordinance, go to page 37. Where
I see, I have it open.
okay? So what this would say, you could do it with a footnote, but you could do it with a footnote in each district, or the districts we want to apply it to, that says, you need that amount of lot area per dwelling unit, or where it says minimum lot size, you could say, minimum lot size per dwelling unit. Again, I don't know if we should be using the words lot area, because lot size is some legal terminology, but.
Yeah, whichever legal thinks.
But the question really to the board is, and you see in shoreline zone, it more or less already does that. So the question to the board would be, is that how you want to do this? So what that would say is, if somebody wanted to use the dwelling unit allowance in the outer corridor, if we use the same lot area, then they would have to have, if they want 2 dwelling units, they need essentially 160,000 square feet, which is like 3+ acres. So that's another way to do this is, I know at least in some of these larger lots, is, so in the outer corridor, we have had, when this zoning was put in place, there was pushback on the size
Yes.
the size required for a dwelling unit in the outer corridor. And the same for the rural neighborhood. You can see it's $40,000 for, 40,000.
Way to go.
40,000
Square feet?
square feet for a residence, but 80,000 square feet for commercial property, which seems totally backwards to me, but.
It was to protect the residents from the commercial property. So the more lot size that they needed for the commercial,
But that's not the way it's been expressed. The burden's been put on the residential owner to have a bigger lot than the commercial business.
the commercial had. Okay.
I think this is kind of an area where
So they,
LD 2003 is trying to not have exclusionary lot sizes.
so with LD 2003, if you have an 80,000 square foot lot, you don't need 160,000 to have an accessory dwelling unit.
But we're just talking dwelling units right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't count accessory dwellings. I'm just on this first item, in the
Per dwelling unit.
per,
Yes.
it's per dwelling unit.
Per
It doesn't
dwelling.
count the accessory dwelling units.
Right, okay.
But the law allows us, the LD 2003 law allows us to specify lot area per dwelling unit. So, one thing to think about maybe is you have minimum lot size, but then you also have minimum lot area per dwelling unit as a separate category. And maybe it's the same for DVB1 and DVB2 and DVN. But maybe when you get to inner quarter, outer quarter, mixed-use quarter, rural neighborhood, I don't know, I'm just throwing stuff out. It's not the same as the lot size, it's something less. Do folks know what I'm getting at?
Yes.
What do folks think?
Well, is the intent of this thing, the intent's to create more housing units,
Right,
period. And if we're looking at Bridgton,
right,
where do we want the more housing units
to be.
to go? And if somebody told me outer corridor, I would say, I don't think so.
No, because they're really trying to,
If they said DVN,
yes,
I would say yes.
DVN and probably, so the corridors really,
And the inner corridor is possible.
yeah, but really, some of the reasons those lot sizes are what they are is,
Well, putting an accessory dwelling unit in DVN
right,
is more likely because, first of all, if it's a rental unit,
right, but just talk about, so
well, I'm just
accessory. Yeah.
walking it through about where,
Okay. Yeah.
looking about what, from more of a broad scope, if we're designing an ordinance, what do we want that ordinance to do?
So, in answering your question, I think if you're in those already fairly dense areas of DVB1, DVB2, and DVN, you probably really want to encourage accessory dwelling units. But if you're in,
We also have sewer and water in those areas. too.
right, but and if you're in the outer quarter, it already discourages residential in the outer quarter. And same kind of in the mixed quarter.
Yeah.
But if you're in, because they're only on the quarter, they don't go back more than one lot.
Right.
But the other thing to consider is, if you're talking about new subdivisions and those sorts of things, the rural neighborhood is about 70 to 75% of the land mass of the town.
Right.
So so that's an area where somebody might want to use this dwelling unit allowance. Because it would mean I can put 2 homes, whether detached or attached, on property, 2 homes or 4 homes, on property, well, in our case, it would be 2 homes, because it's not a growth area. So it'd be 2 homes on property that's currently designated for 1 home. Unless we say you have to have 80,000 square feet per dwelling unit, which would essentially defeat doing that.
Yeah, and probably would defeat the purpose of LD 2003.
But they are allowing it, so there's a.
Well, in the
reason for that.
rural neighborhood, it would defeat L,
Right,
Yeah.
but it isn't going to defeat it in the rest of our,
no, I just don't
Districts.
think it's gonna be as desirable in those other areas to build 2 homes on those smaller lots. But
what do you mean?
Well, like in DVB one and DVB two, I mean, first of all, you have to be, in DVB one, you have to be on the second floor anyway. But even in DVB two, there's very few empty lots, right? Is that right, Tori?
But I don't think, honestly, L 2003 is going to be, because there is an empty lot, what it will be doing is creating accessory dwelling units on the existing lot.
It could, but I think it could be the dwelling unit, well, I call it a bonus, but it's called extra dwelling unit allowance or something. The dwelling unit doesn't have to be detached, it can be in a single building.
Right, I understand that.
So if you're in, say the lower Main Street area, which is DVB 2, and you take over a house where you might only be able to put, because of the lot size, you might only be able to put 2 apartments in it, you could put more.
Or if you have a 2-car garage and you can put a dwelling unit, accessory dwelling unit in both.
You could do that too. But Tori, what do you think about all this?
Well, I see that as a good thing. I think rural neighborhood being such a majority of our town, I think we should be really careful about how we regulate that. I think that if we're too prohibitive, that could be creating sort of a disparity between, people who have the funding to buy huge lot sizes versus people who can't afford those, would be living in very specific areas of town. So it's just something to watch out for when we're...
So how do you also protect, I guess if we had the lots area per dwelling unit so that it had reasonable space between them. I would be concerned about also protecting other landowners who have a right to privacy and that sort of thing.
Yeah, the other thing I worry about, if we restrict it out in those areas like you're talking about, and we want to promote more of the downtown area, which I get, because it's got public water, it's got public sewer. But our sewer system just went through a, $22 million upgrade?
More than that, yeah.
Or more than that. To expand it up to 400 and something users?
We quadrupled the
Right,
amount of pennies. Yeah.
That's gonna get maxed out if and when this goes through, rather quickly. If you start putting in 2, 3, and 4 units on each lot, now you're quadrupling each lot. We've quadrupled our system, but, yeah.
Water sewage use is based upon gallonage by bedroom.
Yep.
And when we're looking at accessory dwelling units, we're looking at, I'm not sure what the main number is, but its bedroom is 110 gallons. So, and I'm looking at, in a lot of these cases, 190 square feet, it's gonna be a 1-bedroom dwelling unit. It's not gonna be 2, or we might have 2.
Now the 190.
Yeah, I think,
190 square foot was the minimum the state set for an accessory.
Right, that's why I'm using that number.
I think a lot of towns will be looking at just that, what is our capacity if, people can estimate how many folks actually would be able to put an accessory dwelling in their yard. Because it's not like as soon as this goes through, everyone's gonna have one. Not everybody can afford to
Right,
pop
but
those up in their backyard.
what I
so.
get at, you look at, the apartment complexes that are going out. I know the ones that are currently existing are not gonna tie into the sewer system, but the new one is. Those apartments weren't calculated into the 400 that we quadrupled to. So right there alone, you're taking up 120 people. Because those are all 1 and 2 bedroom apartments.
So when they
And
did,
there's 118 apartments going in,
I'm gonna ask a question. When they figured 400 and so many users, what was the gallonage per user?
Oh geez, I would have to look, I don't know.
Well, that's something that's kind of, do you know what, Ken?
Approximately 90 gallons, they call it equivalent dwelling unit, is not 90 gallons.
So-
So they're currently,
They're doing 400 at 90? That can't be right.
I would have to look. I mean, they have done some studies on,
You can
capacity
also have a
that we
density
could.
build-out analysis that
Exactly.
I mean, the other thing
come
we,
up with what the
Exactly.
potential.
it'd be very helpful to have new capacities because I read the draft engineering report, capacity was not explicitly stated. And even though we've had finals, we still don't have a explicit, this is
Town
what
doesn't have
the
betterment,
plant
does it?
is designed for, this is what we already have allocated,
Sewer systems all
and this
being
is
paid on the
what's
tax rate.
being added.
Right.
So how much capacity do we really have? We don't know.
That's unfair.
But that's gonna give us some idea of where we're at.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I can talk to Bob and Brent and see, if there is
Mr.
a
Madsen?
plan to, no, Brent, our engineer.
Right.
To see if there is going to be another build-out analysis. Because the analysis that they did, I think, was like in 2018 or something
do we,
like that.
you know, we never, do we have that build, we asked for that build-out analysis and Bob was gonna get it for us, but can we?
I'll
can we
make-
provide that? Because that would be helpful.
Right.
Maybe in the
I can drop it in the drive.
Perfect.
Oh, that'd be nice.
I wonder if go ahead, Rob.
No, I'm just saying, the way I look at L 2003, when we're looking at the down, the DVN, I gotta get used to these acronyms. That's where the bill wants us to put these things.
Well, they want us to put it in, they're giving, so for accessory dwelling units, it doesn't matter, they're letting you, they're not restricting that on lot size, they're telling us we can't, but for this dwelling unit bonus, which could be attached or detached, if it's in a growth district, which I believe that is the DVBs, DVN, and the inner corridor.
Right.
Then they can do 4 units, detached or attached, as we are currently written on this, unless we specify lot area per dwelling unit. So, for instance, I don't know how big the lot is next to, I don't even know if you have an empty lot next to you. But even if there's an existing dwelling unit, you can build additional 2 dwelling units, I believe, if it's in a growth area. I think that's what it says. So I'm gonna take, not to make
But I'm
Kathy
also-
NIMBY, but I'm gonna take Kathy's example on South High Street.
You and NIMBY?
She's in DVN,
I
I
am
believe.
DVN, yes.
She's either DVN or DVB2, but for
DVN.
purpose of this discussion, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So, on the dwelling unit load allowance, if it has an existing dwelling unit, a municipality must allow the addition up to 2 additional dwelling units, which may be within the existing structure attached, detached, 1 of each. Now, it
And are
also,
those dwelling units accessory, or are they just regular dwelling units?
these are regular dwelling units. This is part of the problem with the law, is they really don't discriminate much. So dwelling units have this requirement, can have this requirement of lot area per dwelling unit, okay? And it's very specific. Accessory dwelling units don't have this,
Don't have it.
okay? So I think that's why the attorney has pointed out to us and to DECD in the state that the way the law is written, there's not discrimination between the two because of the way they're defined. And so it's really leaving it, and in listening to DECD, the 2 people that are when I listened to the public hearing and then another this workshop they had, their answer was, we're leaving it up to the municipality as to how they want to structure that, but they haven't but they haven't really changed the definition of accessory dwelling unit to make it customarily incidental and subordinate to the principal residence, which is why we are defining the size, which we can do, to make it
Make it that way.
incidental, okay? So, you really gotta, because of this law, I think dwelling units and accessory dwelling units have different rules according to the law, which is, I think with this whole dwelling unit thing is the reason they said municipalities may establish requirements for lot area per dwelling unit to avoid sort of what I would call overbuilding for the sake of, like, any number of reasons. So in an example of where Kathy lives, if she had an empty lot next to her, because she's in a growth district, four additional units would be allowed, unless we said, you know, you gotta have 10,000 square feet per lot, or something like that, or per building. If
Per dwelling unit.
if she's got a home next to her, which I think you probably do, and I'm just using Kathy because of where she
I know
lives.
she's here, so you can't.
I can envision that street, okay? So, if there's a house next to the lot, then that house can put up 2 additional dwelling units,
Regular dwelling units.
regular dwelling units.
And how many accessory dwelling units can they put there?
Well, they can put at least 1, but we agreed it would be no more than 2. So you can see what can happen if you don't, now there is something in the rules that kind of imply no double dipping, but it needs to be more specific. So this is where some of the things are left to the municipality, but the problem is, speaking for myself, we don't know all the pitfalls necessarily. I mean, the lawyer wrote a pretty good paper on what the pitfalls are.
Yeah, very
She did a nice job.
So let me just throw a proposal out here. That well, maybe before we that we should have a lot area per dwelling unit for at least some of the districts. But we might need to know how big some of these lots are in the downtown and in these districts.
Yeah, that's,
Some of them are very large. My house doesn't, well, if you look at the front of my house, it doesn't look like I've got a whole lot of property, but I've got 9 acres, it goes way back.
Oh.
yeah, this
Right,
is,
and the people next to me, the Wilsons,
They go
an
way
angle
back.
lot, they have 20 acres.
yeah, the Pearly House has
A
huge
lot of land,
acreage.
yeah, it goes all the way back to, and the hospital sort of spreads out behind us.
So that, I mean, their property's more suitable actually for like a subdivision that has a perimeter buffer around it as opposed to just plopping homes down.
Yeah, I don't think Quint would ever sell, but.
And keep
Don't ever say that.
keep in mind that there is also a law, there also is, it's not a proposed law yet, but it's whatever the preliminary is before it gets a number, it's an LR instead of an LD, to change what requires subdivision review. So instead of it being 3 units or more, it could be 5 to 13, it could be something like more than 13 units or more than 13 units. That's in discussion. So, to me, having a lot area per dwelling unit makes sense, but maybe not to get too crazy about, maybe it shouldn't match exactly, or maybe it should. I mean, I really am curious about lot sizes now. Because if there's a lot of large lots, then,
So I'm in the rural neighborhood, and I got a 40,000 square foot lot.
that means you're
I can put-
non-conforming.
Now it's 40,000 is the minimum.
And that's if you're commercial.
Oh, okay, I'm 80. I can put 3 other units on it, right, or not?
If you have 1 unit now, you can put 2 additional units, I believe.
If you have no
If
units,
you have no units, if you're in a growth area, which you're not, you could put 4, but if you're not in a growth area, you could put 2. don't ask me how they get it.
Yeah.
Because you could not be in a, I think the way I read these rules, you could not be in a growth area, but if you have a house there, you can put 3 houses on that lot. But if you have an empty lot,
You can only
right
do
next
two.
door, you can only do
Put
2.
two.
Which is why I think you really should have in the rural neighborhood lot area per dwelling unit, at the very least in that area, if not others, because otherwise,
I mean, can we do 20 or 30,000 square feet if we wanted to?
sure. Yeah, I mean, I would think about in that area, I would just be thinking about it is a rural neighborhood. There is an intent of this neighborhood and what it's supposed to be like in the comprehensive plan. And I don't think you want to defeat that intent. So you still want it to be rural in nature and wooded and low commercial impact and all this kind of thing. And I'd be thinking about I'd be mostly thinking about people's privacy. And their home values. I mean, somebody puts 4 1,000 square foot homes next to a 4,000 square foot home, their property
Somebody's gonna
values
be
are
very upset.
Yeah, and I can't say I blame them, but you also don't want to be exclusionary.
Yeah, but no matter what you do with that, there are people that are gonna call you exclusionary.
Well, law allows us to do something.
Oh, I'm just saying.
Do people feel like we need more information to come up with a lot area per, my first inclination was just to say lot area per dwelling unit is the same as what the lot size is, but I kind of agree with Tori that that might not make sense in all districts.
No.
But then I listened to Kathy talk about the size of some of the lots.
That's why I definitely think that it needs to be different in different districts. But rural neighborhood is a huge one, so that's a tricky one. And we're also,
Well, rural neighborhood also, when people would look at Bridgton as a community that they live in, they would say keeping the rural neighborhood as a rural neighborhood is one of the things that they would encourage. I mean, the
Yeah.
open space and the wood, we've heard it with
Yeah.
the gravel pit.
Yeah.
All right? So, the other thing is that we need to be careful with that, because if you put an ordinance together that says that you're gonna encourage development in that area, I think you're gonna get a lot of kickback. So I understand what you're saying. I'm also saying, looking at it from a political standpoint of what has to happen to get our legislation through, you gotta balance both.
Yeah.
And how do you do that?
One thing you could do, I know that there's been a number of people that think that the lot size in the rural neighborhood needs to be 40,000 square feet, not 80,000 square feet. And if you did that, you could also say 40,000 square feet per dwelling unit, which would be one house on 1 acre.
Which I think is very reasonable.
Yeah.
So, maybe that gives us an opportunity to fix something like that too, that
Right.
we got today.
Right, I think there would be a number of people that would look forward to the requirement of 40,000 square feet for a residential lot there as opposed to 80,000 square feet. And I really think it should be flipped. It should be 80,000 square feet for the commercial lot. If you're trying to keep the commercial away from the residential, the burden should be on them.
Yeah.
They were thinking of little tiny convenience stores in the rural.
Well, we can also change
A lot
that at
more
this
is
time
allowed.
too.
Yeah.
If that's something that we think needs to get fixed, we can put it out there as well.
What's
That would have to go up
Flip
to
it.
vote though, wouldn't it?
Oh,
All of it
sure.
has to,
Yeah.
all of it has to go to
Yeah.
vote.
Goes
Yeah.
to vote.
Anything with L203, almost all of it's vote.
Only,
Oh,
yeah,
it's
only thing that doesn't is the stuff we do with subdivision, Ken?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned, how restrictive does LD 2003 allow us to be? In other words, if we put the density, per dwelling to the point where a person, say, already owning an acre lot can't have 2 houses on it, are we being overly restrictive? Will the state in its rather stupendous lack of wisdom say that that's too restrictive?
No, they've written rules here that say that it's not too restrictive. I mean, let's take where you are, for example. You're in a rural neighborhood, right?
Right,
You have an empty lot next to you, right?
yes.
You want 4 houses on, you want 2 houses on it? On that lot size? Or how much space would you want between you and your neighbor?
You see, there's where inequity starts, because those lots come with restrictions.
Well, let's say they didn't.
If they do. But you see, that's a problem. Like the state of, in LD 2003 allows restrictions to.
So what it says is we may establish requirements for lot area per dwelling unit. And I just, to me, in the simple form of this is, if you're in a rural neighborhood, you want to keep it rural, how much space should be around each of the homes? An acre? A half acre? 2 acres seems excessive to me.
Yeah.
2 acres feels like we want only certain people of a certain level with a certain pocketbook to be able to be there. Just, and
So 40,000 per dwelling unit.
what I would propose for that, here's the proposal. For the rural neighborhood, you change the required lot size for residences to 40,000 square feet.
Okay.
And the lot area per dwelling unit is also 40,000 square feet.
Now, does that restrict someone who has a 40,000 square foot lot from putting an additional dwelling unit on it?
It does, but it doesn't restrict them from an accessory dwelling unit on
Right.
that lot.
Is that okay with LD 2000?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
that sounds good.
So that'll be the template for now.
I think we need
Okay.
to look at each district
I
to
do
figure
too.
out what
Yeah.
we would want
But let's
for the
Let's
lot
put
area.
that one as a straw man for now, and I only say it because I know, so I've had a couple people talk to me about this 80,000 square
Yeah.
feet per dwelling unit. And even with LD 2003, when I explained to them if nothing were to change, they could put 2 homes on that 80,000 square feet. They don't want to do that. They want to split the lot.
Right.
And the lot, and they want to, and they want to do the thing where they split it once, and then they split it again, because that doesn't require a subdivision plan, okay? The way this works, they can't do that. The only way they can get around it is by, and here's the other reason, is by submitting a subdivision plan. So the subdivision gets around the minimum lot size of 80,000 square feet, because it's 40,000 square feet. So all you have to do is come and say, I'm gonna build a subdivision of 3 dwelling units, and
You don't have to have a road or subdivision.
and as soon as you say it's a subdivision, it can be 40,000 square feet per unit. So somebody can put a subdivision right next to somebody else, and they can put 3 units there, where the other guy can only put 1 unit. So, to me, changing this to 40,000 square feet is more, it's just my feeling, it's just, A, it preserves privacy and doesn't get overcrowded. You can still have buffers and trees. And B, it doesn't create this motivation to get around the lot size by just doing subdivision.
Well, we've also got a responsibility, I think, in maintaining neighborhoods' characters.
Right.
Because we don't want, do we want a big apartment building in the lot next to Pleasant Mountain parking lot? I don't think so.
Probably not, but apartment buildings now come under site plan, so it might be allowed. Well, that's-
I need to figure another,
this is one reason why legal can be helpful in some of this stuff, is because, like, the
Subdivision
48
with
unit
25,000 foot lots.
affordable care, which is apartment style, is 48 units. I don't know if it works out to 48 times 5,000 for the size of that lot.
Where are we now?
I'm talking that we did that as site plan, because it's in one building.
The memory care you put.
Not the memory care, the affordable housing unit going up on 117.
117.
Right by Norway.
All right, so why don't we say, is there consensus on rural neighborhood that a straw man will be, change the minimum lot size to 40,000 square feet, but also keep lot area per dwelling unit at 40,000 square feet?
Yes,
Yes.
and I think as part of go-forward plan, we should consider reviewing all districts in the same way.
Yeah, so we should do that. Maybe, do we have a list somewhere by district of lot sizes? Doesn't even have to have the names associated with it. I know you pulled together something once.
A list of
So
lot
if you
sizes.
had all the lots, if you had each district and however many lots it has in it, what their lot sizes are. I mean, the other thing we can do is kind of look at a map, try to figure it out. But I think homework would be, we could all take a district too, we could do that too.
Yeah, I don't think that list exists.
I don't either.
Okay.
Yeah, can I just say something?
Yeah.
When the land use committee was considering lot sizes, there was a lot of controversy about the lot size in the rural neighborhood. And the decision to have it at 80,000 square feet was the consensus of that particular committee in order to preserve the sense of a rural neighborhood as opposed to, making housing too expensive. If you think of 1 acre lots with 100-foot frontage, it does put houses pretty close together. And so there was a lot of pushback at the time, and the committee fought hard to keep it at 80,000.
And they wanted it bigger?
No, 80,000 was what they settled.
But was there discussion that it should be bigger?
There was no discussion that it should be bigger because of the fact of being an exclusionary. If you get too big on a lot.
That's 2 acre zoning, basically.
Yeah,
So,
well, 2 acres is really 88,000.
well,
Right.
the planner would call it 2 acre zoning.
But I think as the law stands right now, that's defeated unless you have lot area per dwelling unit.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that was a major thing for the land use committee to stand.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
By the way, I would find that that's to be generally how a good portion of the people would feel.
Well, there was a lot of pushback that it made things unaffordable by making a 2 acre lot as opposed to a 1 acre lot. So twice as much for the land, they thought. The people that pushed back against 80,000.
Yeah, the issue that I have with the 80,000 is, and believe me, I have 7 acres and I like my privacy. I wouldn't like to see the house next to me, so, and you pretty much know. But I live in an association, it's a subdivision that has the lot sizes are all set and there's all these other restrictions. And, the 2 acres, the biggest problem I have is that the rural neighborhood is so huge. And maybe we don't want additional housing out there. If we don't, then we should leave it as is. Well, that won't, or we should say 80,000 square feet per dwelling unit.
So in a sense, what we do is just affirm what is there today by making the 80,000.
Yeah, but that means there won't be additional dwelling units built on any properties, pretty much unless they're more than 80,000.
Well, they could put an accessory dwelling
But
unit on it.
accessory dwelling units are allowed.
They could do that. But I could just come in and if I have 5 acres, I can do a subdivision for 5 1 acre, 40,000 square foot lots.
but then you have to come in with a road.
It's not
No,
that
you
easy,
don't.
is it? Dan?
No,
It's-
you
It's not that
don't.
You
easy.
don't need a road plan?
If it's on a major road, all you need is driveways, you don't
Oh,
need a
well,
road.
that
You just need frontage.
frontage, you need frontage then. But if you don't have the frontage,
100 feet? 100
so you
feet?
need 400 feet of frontage.
400 feet of frontage on, 5 acres, that's probably pretty easy to get.
If it has the width.
You just make the lot skinny. We've proved things like this.
I think, part of the issue might be that rural neighborhood is so much of the town. I mean, there's probably certain sections of rural neighborhood where you might want a larger lot size, but there might be other sections where it might make more sense.
That's a
So-
very reasonable.
It's a very
way of
good
looking.
point.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think we are about to embark on a comprehensive plan, so I know
So that would
we have to
mean
use
the
the one we have,
establishment of
but-
another district.
So we had consensus on 40,000 square feet per lot and 40,000 square feet per dwelling unit. It basically matches the subdivision. So, and the frontage is 100 feet, same as subdivision. So the question is, we still have consensus, I think Ken's presenting something else. It's a big decision.
Yeah, it is. I mean, one of the things that makes a neighborhood rural is its density. And so if we double the density, then is it still rural?
Well, by making it 40,000 square feet for lot area required, we're keeping it the same.
No, we're having it.
Oh, we're having, I'm sorry, I
Having
keep
it.
looking at the 40, it's commercial.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, part of me likes the 40 and flipping the 80.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there's gonna be a lot of development in the rural neighborhoods in the next 10 years here.
Yeah, that's the thing that bothers me. That's why I don't think I'm very comfortable with having it.
I'll also just add that we are going to be finishing our open space plan, within a few months. So I think that's going to be a really useful document and is going to present tools for, more on the conservation side, but, looking at how we're not going to sprawl all over town and actually ruin the rural character that we're talking about. And, I think it'll help inform development. Even though it's not directed towards development, I think it'll really help inform development.
I think that's good, and I also like the idea of looking carefully at the rural neighborhood and seeing where 1 acre lots would actually be best.
Yeah, but here's our issue is LD 2003, unless something changes, is going to be effective on July 1st. So, you can keep it at 80,000 square feet, but unless we do something, there's gonna be,
Well, we can keep it at 80,000 and put on 40,000 for dwelling unit size.
you could do that too. You can say 80,000 square foot lot.
So if somebody wants to put 2 houses on their 2 acre lot, they can do that.
Well, that sounds more reasonable.
Yeah, well, okay, I'm okay with that too. I think we'll get pushback on that.
Okay.
Pushback from,
I think people want 40,000 square foot lots.
They've always
That's what I
wanted it.
think.
Yeah, they've wanted it ever since the land use.
well, we're gonna have a public hearing on this, so we're gonna be
Right.
able to get the feedback from the public.
I usually get a few calls a year on changing that they feel it's too
Yeah.
strict. I never get any on, the other way around, obviously. Because,
Because you already own the 7 acres, you're not gonna subdivide.
well, I'm protected by covenants. At least my interests are.
This is-
So,
I was wondering what the timeline you're looking at is for
well,
a change
you
like
know
that.
what we discussed at the last meeting was November. which means we gotta be making decisions like now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, going once, going twice. Let's pick one. 40,000, I think we're agreed on 40,000 square feet per home, per dwelling unit, okay? So, do we also want to change the lot size?
I like the 80 than the 40.
Others?
I like the 40.
The 40-40.
40/40.
These are 40-40.
I'd like the 40/40, but I also like to see what happens when we do a public hearing.
Well, if you do the 40/40, you're gonna get,
Everybody's gonna like it.
you're gonna, well, no, I don't know. You're gonna get, well, you're gonna see who's gonna come out and say, I don't want, I want
Well,
somebody next to me.
We need to listen to them because we don't want the thing to
Right,
fail.
and then we'll change it. So, let's go 40/40. Is that okay with people for now?
Yes.
I'm against.
You're against it.
Right. Like I can tell you, I mean, when I was making decisions on that 10-acre lot that I have next to my office, you know, we had thought about doing just individual homes. But there were so many restrictions with the 80,000 that it didn't make any, you know, monetary sense to us.
Right.
That's why we went with the condo side of it, because we could get more units in there. Had I been able to do 40,000 per lot, I probably would have went house building versus condo building.
Yeah.
You know, that's just, again, just looking at it from a builder's standpoint, you're gonna see a lot more subdivisions if we keep the 80 up in the rural mixed-use areas like that.
I think that's interesting too, because, you know, if you are trying to encourage people to live here year-round, you know, they might want one or the other. Whereas maybe some of those other developments might be a, you know, a ski house or a, you know, a lake house or something.
I mean,
Right.
I do think the rural neighborhood has to be redistricted. I think, you know, there's certain sections of town where there's a lot of open space and that if all of a sudden you lined up houses an acre apart, it would totally change the nature of that, you know. It's just the way it would be. On the other hand, I look at Highland, what is it, Highland Road? Those lots are probably bigger than an acre, but,
Talking about by the golf course?
yeah, those homes are pretty close
Those are all
together.
big, huge lots.
Yeah, but look where they are, look where they're situated.
Yeah, they're all close together.
They're all close together. Do people want to live there? Probably.
Yeah, it's sort of a golden neighborhood.
Yeah, well, so, anyway, okay. So do people want to maybe take a couple assignments for the other ones? And I don't know, Cory, if there's any, I mean, I don't know if you want to look into one of these, if you have time to do that, that would be great.
What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking that in terms of lot area per dwelling unit, maybe we each ought to just look at, for the next workshop, look at a district instead of, you know, are you volunteering for
I'm
Dan?
volunteering DVN, because that's my neighborhood.
Okay,
And it is, I mean, given there are some lots that are quite small and quite packed in together. I'm thinking Church Street, the ones basically going up the hill.
Like Gage Fowler Church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Gage Fowler Church, those are all
Yeah.
pretty densely packed.
I don't know that we need to worry too much about inner and outer corridor. Because, but I'll take Lakeside neighborhood, which I suspect I'll propose 50,000 per. The same as the lot. Because look at what it has for shoreland zone, so why crowd around the shoreland zone?
Yeah.
So I'll take Lakeside neighborhood. And I don't know, inner corridor. somebody else want something?
I can do mixed use.
How about you? Got a
Just
figure?
assign me something like that.
I'll do the rural.
Okay, Ken will do, well, we just did a consensus on rural neighborhood, but yeah, go ahead and make them
I'll
up
take
with
a
it.
look at it.
Okay. So what we got left is inner quarter, outer quarter, no, I said I'd do inner quarter. We got outer quarter,
Mixed use corridor. I'm
No,
going
DV,
no,
down.
that's
we had
him.
DV,
why don't,
DB2 and DB1.
why don't you do DVB1 and DVB2? Unless Tori wants to do that.
I'll take the leftovers, whatever.
Why don't you take, wanna take out, why don't you wanna take outer village? Take outer village.
Whatever.
And why don't you take the leftovers, because that's DVB1 and DVB2 is pretty close. And let's wait on outer quarter for now.
And just for clarification, what are you looking for?
We're looking for you to come up with a proposal for a lot area per dwelling unit. Based on any number of factors you decide are important, like the intent of that district, whether
How
or
many
not it's a
assess-
growth area, so forth.
How many
and so forth.
accessory dwelling units can you put on a lot?
Well, let's go to that. So that was a long discussion. So the other thing is we agreed we wanted to incorporate those July 1, 2023 limitations. I assume we're all still in favor of that, and we want to include commercial structures. So why don't we move to accessory dwellings? Do people agree that on this law, this item we're able to do, whereas we say you can't destroy, you can't tear down a building after July 1st and then get your dwelling unit bonus?
That's a good,
I think that's the way it works. But do we want that to be the same for a business as well?
Was there any specification as to if the building's in total disrepair and perhaps it would make more sense for housing? More housing?
It says it just may establish a prohibition or an allowance for lots where a dwelling unit in existence after July 1st, 2023 is torn down and an empty lot results. So we could write that to exclude dangerous buildings. That would be, I think that's the way you would write that. You just would exclude dangerous buildings, or you would say they don't get the full allowance or something like that. But I personally think it ought to apply to commercial structures too, not just to residential structures.
right.
Okay, so we're in agreement there. Okay, so let me make a note that this should be, it should exclude. And all of this is gonna be tested by the public lawyer
Oh,
Right.
and others. Exclude, dangerous buildings.
I just think about like where the marina's going and they just tore down that house that's been there for a long time. In disrepair. Say that was a developer who wanted to build housing,
Which marina is this?
the Harrison.
the Harrison Marina.
Oh, okay.
If a developer came in and said, yeah, I wanna put in multiple units there, personally, I wouldn't see that as such a bad thing, it's in a growth area. That's just, I look at that.
Yeah, because it's a growth area. Well, we
Yeah.
can specify
Those
growth
are all the
areas.
housing
Yeah,
across the
yeah.
street anyway.
Right. So, I would see that maybe coming up later as, someone
So maybe
proposing a
it should
variance.
it should have some common sense to it. But remember, the inner quarter is really supposed to be sort of it's not meant to be purely residential
Right.
at all.
But there is right across the street, lots
Yep.
of,
Yep.
apartments and
Okay,
so.
all right, good point. All right, so accessory dwelling units. Why don't we see if we could So we said at our last meeting, we would allow no more than two, you have to allow at least one accessory dwelling unit on a lot. And you can't, it says an accessory dwelling unit must be allowed on a lot regardless of whether the lot conforms to existing dimensional requirements. So you have to allow it on a non-conforming lot. Just has to meet the dimensional requirements. A municipality must exempt an accessory dwelling unit from any density requirements or lot area requirements related to the areas in which it's constructed. So that wipes out the whole lot area
Yeah,
and density
yeah.
thing. Okay? And you
And
can't,
so our choice is either one or two, right?
our choice is one or two, and on the one or two, you can decide whether you want, I think we agreed to no more than two.
Yeah.
What I can't remember is if we said one attached and one detached, or just two.
I think that we probably need to, because it was brought up, we need to look at the capacity of the system.
Well, that would come for every,
That would be required anyway.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
capacity of the public system.
Of the public sewer system,
Yeah.
because if we look at the number of lots and what we may not have the
Well,
ability to allow two in every lot.
why don't we, so one thing, because of timing, we could just say no more than one detached. And of course, it still has to meet the plumbing and septic and all of that. That would basically cap it at what the law's allowing. We can't say none.
No, I wasn't even saying that. What I was saying is that let's not create something that could create a fiscal mess.
But we could start at one, and then once we have more data, if we want to move that to two, we could move it to two.
Oh. Is it possible to say no more than one attached other than detached?
I don't think so, because the law says,
Right.
the law implies
Yeah, the law, I think the way they describe it, a self-contained dwelling unit located within, attached to, or detached from a
Right,
single
they have-
family dwelling located on the same
I
parcel.
don't think you got the option.
No.
and then when you get to the accessory unit requirements, it says zoning, with respect to accessory dwelling units, blah, 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 blah. Municipalities with zoning ordinances and without must comply with the following. At least one accessory dwelling unit must be allowed on any lot where a single unit is the principal structure.
So we,
If, and it already defines it as it can be separate, it says, and then it says, if more than one accessory dwelling unit has been constructed on a lot as a result of the allowance pursuant to this section or section 3, the lot is not eligible for any additional increases in density. We think that means if they've used the density unit allowance and put two structures on the lot, they can't now add an accessory
Done.
dwelling.
yeah,
We think that's what that means.
Yeah.
But I think we have to, I don't think we get the choice. So, one might be a safe thing for now,
it sounds,
I mean, I kinda like the idea of one is in the building or in a garage and the other could be a separate small building, but that could have consequences too. And maybe a lot of people aren't gonna do that.
Right.
I highly doubt people are, but I wonder if someone's looking at, building a detached garage and that's a new structure. And then
they want a unit above it, yeah.
and they want a unit above it, but
So
maybe
to
they
pay for
also wanna split their old home in half and have another unit in their home.
Yeah,
That's a detached and an attached,
right.
even though it's just a garage. So, I don't know.
No, I think the issue really is, what's happening 5 years or 10 years out, in terms of, our utility capacity.
So do we think we should say 1 for now? Or do we think,
I think if we get the information from
then we
what the
can?
what the potential is,
Why
the math to
don't
figure
why
it
don't
out.
we limit, why don't we limit it to 1? We should ask the lawyer exactly what she said. Can we specify 1 as attached, 2 if 1 is attached or within an existing structure or is not the principal use of that structure or something like that?
Right.
And I think that might be allowable, okay, does that make sense?
That makes sense.
I'm gonna put 1, but investigate 2.
Aye.
All right, one more thing before we break, I think, of all of these things. Can we talk a little bit about our accessory dwelling unit size?
Yeah.
So I just threw spaghetti against the wall, okay? And what you guys see here is, it has to be a minimum of 190 because the state says it does. But then we couldn't pick a maximum.
Yeah, and, well, that's what kind of where I still have an issue with it is, I mean, yeah, we could say it has to be a minimum of 190, but I still think it's gonna make it look, you know, if you're talking about making the character of the town, keeping things the way they are, and you have a structure that's this big, that's 2,000 square feet, and you're saying, you know, say 20%, so you're now talking a 400 square foot accessory, you know, you're gonna have something like that. And I just think, to me, that just kind of looks.
So what do you think? Should it be 40% to 50%? I mean, so basically what I'm trying to do is
Yeah.
prevent exactly what you're talking about.
Right, and that's what I'm trying to come up with a number for that, or, you know, is there a way to do it that we don't necessarily put a number on it, but it has to be, you know, aesthetically pleasing or aesthetically the same, you know, how do you come up, you know,
Right.
maybe the lawyers can come up with a wording for that we don't put it necessarily a maximum size, but it's gotta be X of,
If you can't, you have to be able to discriminate it from
Yeah.
the principal dwelling, otherwise we're gonna have an absolute mess on our hands.
Two
But,
car,
I
two car
mean,
garage is 24 by 24 or 24 by 32. I'm just thinking about where people would want to put an accessory dwelling. That's 700 or 750 square feet. And you can certainly have a nice apartment above a 2-car garage. Or,
Yeah, that's,
so I'm coming to a number, that's how I come up with a number.
yeah, 800 is a good number, if that's where you're going.
Well, I might even be 750, but I'm just saying 24, 32, 768 or something.
It's 768.
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm just saying is, that's maximum. Now, I'm gonna come back at something though, you who said dividing a house in half.
24 by 24 is only
Right,
576.
24 by 32 is what
Yeah, I was thinking 24 by 30.
Okay, here's 32.
That's a big garage.
That's
That's actually-
the size.
This is a nice school, by the
See
way,
the
that's
garage I
a,
wanna do in my house, just for a 2-car garage to fit my truck, I have to go 24 by 36.
Yeah, it's 28 by 32.
You probably have to go
You're
taller
28
for
by
your
what?
truck, too.
28 by 32,
so you got a huge garage.
with a
too.
second floor, yeah, it's
Yeah.
1,000 square feet of building.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm being realistic. What about though if you split a house in half? Does that mean it only can be 700 square feet in the house?
Well, what you don't want, so if the house, I was trying to think of the average house size, and I was thinking, maybe the average house size is,
I googled that
Average
earlier.
ranch house size,
I googled the average home size in Maine.
28 by 40.
1,800 square feet, right?
It's actually 1680.
yeah, I was gonna guess around that.
Yeah.
1680.
And
so-
that's for Maine, but average is obviously, you know.
So
but-
if
So
you
you cut that in half, it's 900. But even so, I'm thinking, actually, if somebody wanted to split a house, make half the house another unit, they can be individual dwelling units.
Yeah, I don't know if we can specify if it's a separate dwelling unit, it has to be a certain size. I honestly, if it's a 4,000 square foot home and somebody carves out 2,000 square feet,
Well, that's, I'm saying,
I don't care.
that wouldn't be an accessory dwelling unit, that would be a regular dwelling unit.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Okay?
They're then using
In
their
other words,
dwelling
not
unit.
using, they're gonna
They're
use a
using-
dwelling unit.
Ah, I got it.
So if somebody's calling something an accessory dwelling unit, it can't be greater than 750 square feet or living space, or 800 square feet of living space.
Yeah, and if it's a separate one, then you maybe, I mean, there's probably not a lot of 4,000 square foot homes in Bridgton.
Well, there's a few.
There's a few. Are they in associations? Because I know the ones that I know of were.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, a
associations.
majority of the ones on Mountain Road are.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you want to do it 50% of the
See, I think if
principal
you're in
value?
an association, that you see a lot of larger homes with space on them, generally. So,
With deed restrictions.
because they
on it.
have minimum, like our development, you can't build anything less than 1,500 square feet. So, you gotta be careful about some of these things, because those places aren't gonna have accessory dwelling units anyway if they prohibit them in their
They're
covenants,
yeah,
like we do.
they're
So, so I kind of like where Tori's going, is assume it's 1,800 or 1,700 or even 2,000, and then you're gonna say,
But can an association restrict it?
It
Yes.
says,
Yes.
says
It
it
does
in
say
the
that, okay.
LD 2000.
an association can restrict it as long as it follows the Constitution of Maine. Doesn't break a state, not a state law, I think, doesn't, well, can't break a state law, but
It's
it
treated
has to
as a
follow the
taking.
Constitution
Yeah.
of Maine.
That can't be treated as a taking.
Yeah, I'm sure these will get tested.
Mhm.
So, do we want to say right now, just to kind of test something, say 190 square feet to 800 square feet? Under the
Why not?
assumption that most homes are going to be in the 2,000, close to the 2,000 square foot area. I mean, you could also say 1,000 square feet, but then you might have a 1,200 square foot home and and
1,000
then they got the dwelling, then they should be
then that's
using the
another-
dwelling unit bonus.
But then that would be another dwelling unit. If they met the, if it's in DVN,
Well,
it's 5,000 square feet.
yeah, but if we're not allowed to, if you have dwelling unit per, this is where, if you have lot area per dwelling unit, yeah, that would prevent that. But if you can't find a way to make, on certain lots, make the accessory dwelling unit subordinate, so that you recognize it, then this is where Brenda's going, well, which one is it?
So that's why there's a maximum in size.
So what, do we
In-
want to
in
say the
the-
maximum in size is, I mean, you could say the maximum is 30% of the dwelling unit, or you could just pick a number based on what you think the average is.
Well, 1,800 square feet's 540 feet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, so 30% is probably too low.
35%, 40% would be,
40% would be good. A 2,000 square foot house would have an 800 square foot.
right, 1,800 would be
Yeah, I would say
760.
go with 40%.
Let's try this, you said the average house size 1,700, around that?
Yeah,
1,680.
1680.
Well, let's go with the average main home size. That's real data, 1,700 times 0.4. 680
square feet.
Mhm.
Maybe, and so if it
And that would be
happens
the
to
top of
be
a garage.
let's say a 3,000 square foot home, because I think there's plenty of those around that might not be enough.
1,200 square feet.
3,000 times 0.4,
40 is 1,200.
1,200.
Yeah.
We like that as a start?
Yeah.
Okay, that's a good start.
Okay. Okay. Doesn't stop somebody from building something really small next to their home, but
Right.
I think we're now at 7:55, so I just asked that, we kind of think about the rest of these things for the next workshop,
Mhm.
Okay.
and look at the things that I put on here, new considerations. One of them's very similar to what Rolf and Kathy are talking about with, do we have wastewater capacity, do we have water capacity? Because right now, the town, sometimes you hear we don't have the capacity, and then you hear, oh, no, we do have the capacity. They write the letters approving, but at the same time, they know they gotta drill more wells and they haven't
Systems
done
can
it
be
yet.
licensed for so many gallons.
So,
Yes.
I think on the
North Mass.
definitions, I'm just looking for feedback on whether we need these
Okay.
definitions. If somebody wants to propose what they should be, but I'm just looking to say, do we agree these need to be defined?
Yeah.
And then,
Yes.
and then I put in a comment there about short-term rentals. Primarily, if we have the power or the authority under the law to say you can't apply the accessory unit allowances and the, under this under the LD 2003 provisions won't apply to short-term rentals. I don't know if we have the capacity to do that,
Well,
or
we'll find out.
we can say, well, I think in the law it says we can, but in the rules they never spoke to it.
Yeah.
I would think that if we didn't have that ability, it would be go completely against what this whole law's all about.
I would think so. I think we can do it in part, but then you have to define that, and then you have to have, I don't know what else that then leads to. Ken?
Can anyone explain to me the difference between a rolling allowance and a fixed allowance?
Yeah, did you read everything?
Yes, it still doesn't make any sense.
Rolling allowances, well, fixed allowance is easy.
Yeah, that one.
After this date, there's a line in the sand. You either got an empty lot or a lot with a house, and you have an accessory dwelling unit or you don't. And then you can add to each of those in this way. But the rolling allowances, you don't say to Brenda, you build a house, and then later on, you go and you say, well, I want to split the lot, but now I want to do 4 on this lot and 4 on that lot. And then you split that lot again, now you do another 4. It just defines, because of the fact that if a house exists, the dwelling unit allowance is an additional 2 units. But if it's in a growth area, it's an additional 4 units. That's where it causes a problem. Because if somebody already has a dwelling unit there, they split the lot, maybe they do 4 dwelling units on it, and then they say, oh, wait a minute, I want to apply that now to the house I already have.
I see,
So now you got 7 in a spot where it was originally 1.
yeah.
That's, yeah, I know, it's a lawyer thing that gets caught, but
There's
that's
always
what
somebody who's gonna
that's
try
what
to beat
lawyers
the system.
do.
Yep.
So-
And the system is beatable.
2 quick things, I won't be here, well, 3 quick things, I won't be here at the April 4th meeting, Mr. Manson will be running the
You
meeting,
want this?
Sure.
and you and I will chat prior to that.
So
I was
Brendan,
gonna
don't put anything on the agenda that's difficult.
I think actually you want all difficult things and then just call for public hearings.
Yeah, the simple.
That, just have them, if they're all controversial, then it's a short meeting.
These guys would like that.
Yeah. The other
It
thing
would make you very popular.
is, I thought we would want the attorney maybe at the April meeting, but right now I'm thinking no. But I think the advantage of having the attorney is they're probably already writing a lot of these things and telling, and knowing what the towns are doing. So should we have them here in mid-April, or should we wait till mid-May?
I think we need to wait till May,
Yeah, I think mid-May.
Okay, so let's target
because it's money.
trying to get our
And
questions.
I'm out of it entirely, so.
Let's try to get our questions answered so that we're prepared and we can feed them some information. And I suspect they've already written the ordinances for some towns.
Yeah.
The last question I have is, Mr. Reisman, our representative, said that in a conversation between him and somebody else, and then I saw him on St. Patty's Day, he said he's willing to draft a rural version of LD 203 and put it, so he's willing to draft an affordable housing bill that is applicable to rural areas, as opposed to LD 2003, which he believes to be more city-like. And he wanted to know, would it make sense for him to speak to the planning board or some combination of people? He said he had it drafted, I think, and he's looking for feedback. So do we want to have a separate meeting? Tori, what do you think?
He said he already has it drafted?
I thought that's what he said. It was St. Patty's Day. I'm pretty sure that's what he said, is that he's
What are you
drafting something.
implying?
It was St. Patty's Day.
He said he's willing, he said he had it drafted, he was willing to put it forward, he wanted input.
Have they rescheduled the meeting that the regional meeting they were supposed to have?
It was sounded like it was gonna be mid-April-ish or something.
I just wonder if he's already drafting that, if that's part of the intent of that meeting as well.
I don't know.
Because that is directed
I
towards.
think if he has a draft
Let's look at
and
it.
he can share it,
Yeah, let's look at it.
I
Okay.
mean, we certainly were
Well, we're
much
gonna
able to
find out
give
if
him
I
feedback
inserted
if
or
after
if he
we
was
see
spoke.
something.
Well, it was St. Patty's Day, so.
I saw him when I first walked in, so not that he,
But you don't know how long he had been there.
I don't. But it was pretty early, so like 4 or 5 o'clock. All right,
That's late.
does anybody have anything else before we adjourn?
I just want to mention real quick that I've been working with GPCOG. Well, GPCOG's been doing most of the work, but they're creating a tool, an online tool that helps municipalities track short-term rentals. So they've developed a database that actually we can log into
Okay.
and see where all of them are in one space, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah, now,
And that's only for the registered ones on like the Airbnb and VRBO, correct?
right, so then
I
there's the
believe
ones
so.
the realtors do separate, which we
Well-
have to try and figure out.
Yeah, and then, I mean, I can tell you, one of my associations that I use, there's 10 to 12 that don't use anything. That just do it through, word of mouth type of thing.
right.
So, I mean, it'll give us a base, kinda, but
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be an accurate number.
I think they can just geolocate them too, like if we help them inform the database.
Yeah, like if we go to
So,
Cranen and Chalmers and Oberg and make some, because, like Cranen, you can go on their website, and I found maybe an additional 19 that aren't
right,
in Airbnb.
yeah.
You can just, they didn't have any duplicates, so, but some probably will. So we can do that, but I think, I would estimate it's somewhere between 250 and 350.
I looked at Naples because Naples was a pilot for the project.
Yep.
And Naples was 250.
Well, then we're
So,
probably 400.
I think we're higher,
Yeah,
much higher.
yeah.
Oh, in terms of how many short-term rentals we have?
For the summer.
Well, the data, I actually looked at it's called Air Data or something, I looked at that.
That's a different one, but
Okay, so,
this is.
so they had 212, and then I figured, like, some of the ones that you're talking about and others brought me up to like 300, but I wondered if there would be even more. Okay, so this is different, cool.
Yeah, this is a different program that's specifically for municipal government.
But I
so.
bet we're around 400.
Yeah.
So, just wanted to make you aware that that's happening.
Cool.
Is that, do you have to pay sales tax on a?
If it is.
You have to pay a lodging tax, not sales tax, it's a
Yeah.
lodging
Lodging
tax.
tax in town.
Yeah.
It's like 8 or
But
9%,
not to the town,
to the state,
to the state.
just to the state, not to the
It'd
town.
be nice if the
Correct.
state gave the town something back.
I don't even, do they have to pay the state?
Yes.
I do.
If you list it like on an Airbnb, VRBO, HomeAway,
Oh.
yeah,
They're gonna grab it.
you're gonna pay that 8 or 9%. If you do it on your own, it's at your own risk.
Right.
And
Because if you don't pay it, and they find that you did it.
So that'll be interesting to look into because, yeah, that'll be interesting to look into. Because I think it's one thing to say LD 2003 won't be applied to short-term rentals. It's another thing to regulate the existing ones and try to limit them or get rid of them or tax them or
Well, you're,
other things.
well, you're not going to have affordable housing if these accessory dwelling units are short term.
I think, to me, that's easier, because there's a clear starting point, and there's a clear intention of the law.
But how do you enforce it?
Well, that'll be the big question. You'd have to define short-term rentals, say rentals less than 30 days or less. And then you would have to have, like when somebody comes to Brenda and is using the accessory unit allowance or the dwelling unit allowance, she would have to probably have them, the easiest way is have them sign a legal document that says they can't do this. And this is what it is.
That's the only way. Something
And
that's
when I
enforceable.
inspect your property, if that's the case, then, you're gonna have to cease and desist. Otherwise, you'd have to really get into, it has to be something, I think, personal opinion, simple to start, because otherwise you're gonna get into, if you start start having to do more than a regular home inspection, if you start having to require sprinklers in them, all this stuff is gonna require resources here. If you start taxing them, I'm not saying I don't like the idea, but if you start doing things like that, then you're gonna run into it. So to me, it's easier to say, well, if you want to take this benefit of the state, it can't be for this.
Yeah, let's see.
Define it and just have a way to lock them into that legally. Used to be if you signed a piece of paper that locked them in, I don't know if it does. Anyway, I digress. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Third.
Okay, Tori, so first by Mr. Gibbs, second by Mr. Hardy. All in
I
favor?
thought Tori seconded it.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
We're all in favor.
I was
all in
trying in
favor.
favor.